My family excluded me from the vacation because I'm not a woman.
Oh, we got man-excluded here. Oh, boy.
I'm a 28-year-old male, and my immediate family is all women. Mostly this is because I was raised by my mother and have no contact with my father's side of the family due to a messy divorce when I was young. My 2 sisters, in their early 30s, my 3 aunts, 2 who are my mother's sisters, and 1 married into the family and married my aunt. And they have an assortment of close friends of all of the family, all of which are women, that also go to these events. By the way, this comes from user throwaway02241111, and if you want to submit your own stories, submit them to the r/OK Storytime subreddit. So, about 3 years ago, my mother had an idea to do a girls-only weekend. Originally, this was to see one of the Magic Mike movies, and I remember those. And because it was such a hit, they started to do these weekend outings once or twice a month. Originally, it didn't bother me because I'm an adult and I have my own life and my own house, and I really didn't even think about it.
Okay.
But an incident recently made me annoyed at the whole concept. My aunt's birthday was in January, and normally we go to her favorite restaurant for her birthday, which also, incidentally, is my favorite restaurant. So I bought her a present and a card, and I waited for an invitation, and none came.
Okay.
When I asked what was going on for her birthday, I was told they celebrated it early on their girls' day because she was going to be out of state during her birthday. This kind of irked me because when I mentioned I bought her a present, my mother told me to just drive over to her house and give it to her.
Just really quickly, I've seen literally nothing wrong with this so far.
I felt pretty left out since I am the only male in my immediate family. Having a girls' day is the equivalent of saying, hey, let's celebrate my birthday, but not invite OP. That's fair. Was everyone there? If everyone was there other than OP, which it seems like it kind of was, I griped about it and was told that I was basically being self-centered and that she can celebrate her birthday however she wants. I agree with that, but once again, I'm the only one being left out and it feels crappy. The proverbial straw that broke the camel's back was I was just also informed that they were planning a summer vacation this year as a girls only too. And when I asked my mother what about the vacation we normally take as a family, she told me that they can't afford to do both, so they are just doing the girls only vacation this year. At this point, I was very annoyed and had a loud argument with my mother and sister, telling them that it's really crappy that twice a month they have group activities and specifically exclude me. And on top of that, are now even taking vacations and guess what? Excluding me. Nothing came of the argument and they wouldn't budge. So I decided I needed a break from my immediate family because they don't consider my feelings relevant. So I removed myself from the family group chat and deactivated my Facebook. Now, my phone is being blown up and I'm being told that I'm immature and I need to grow up.
Okay, so did you inform your family you'd be doing this? Because if you did this without saying anything to them and you essentially ghost blocked all of your family, yeah, you are being immature.
You had an argument, a yelling match, and you didn't win it and nobody budged. And then your next step is, all right, I'm just going to ghost them. Like, you know what? I lost the argument. I didn't get them to move. I'm just going to remove myself from the equation.
I very much doubt that they don't care about your feelings at all. I very much do think that the way your feelings are being presented or shared or, what have you, is getting in the way of actual communication happening.
This would go vice versa. If it was guys only, same thing. It's just not fair, but you need to let them know how you feel in an appropriate way, not just yelling at them. I responded that a lot of grown people don't see much of their family at all, and I'm just going to follow that example. Am I the a-hole here? And we have a verdict and some comments. I think the way you went out about it, kind of a-hole-y. I think the way they made you feel and not asking you how you felt about it, rather than just them doing it behind your back, that was also a-hole-y on their part. So I think right now, everyone kind of just sucks. Verdict. Not the a-hole. We have some relevant comments. This comment has been downvoted, though. This one says, you are the a-hole. I initially thought no a-holes here, since it's natural to want to be included in family events. But instead of having a calm discussion with our family about how you were feeling left out, you had a loud argument and assumed that their girls' day events were created to exclude you. And now you're throwing a tantrum but removing yourself from the group chat and Facebook? Grow up. I understand feeling left out, but your reaction was completely unreasonable. That's a comment. This is OP's response. It's interesting that you're reading into the fact that it became a loud argument that it was my fault. I didn't get loud. They did. But I'm not going to be yelled at and called a child and just walk away. It seems like you are reading the worst intentions into my actions, but excusing theirs.
Of course it reads like you got loud because you're the one being stiffed in the situation.
And you also put it as loud argument. We have another downvoted comment. You are the a-hole. Are none of these sisters or aunts married? Because if any are, then you are not the only male excluded. You are a grown but man acting like a child. The vacation, one, I kind of understand being upset, but otherwise, you are overreacting. OP says, my mother is single. My aunt is single. My other aunt is a sapphic and has a wife. My sisters are single. One of them is casually dating, but not official. These are the people I am closest to, and it is literally a matter of all my immediate family are doing something fun a couple of times a month, and due to my gender, I am excluded.
That does suck.
I mean, here's a question before we get into this. Are you guys doing other things as a family? If this is literally the only family events that they are doing and you are being excluded from all the family events, I get it. But I don't have that context of, are you being included in family dinners? Are you doing this? Are you guys going out to movies? Whatever your family does.
If that's the only fun stuff y'all do every month, if they're getting 2 girls' nights and you're getting 0.
They are excluding you, but again, we don't have that information if that's the only thing you guys are doing. How is that cool? The last time I did anything with my family together as a group was Thanksgiving. Meanwhile, I read all day in the family group chat about how fun it was to go to the zoo and how they just love that restaurant they went to last weekend, etc. According to you, I shouldn't feel left out, and am I overreacting for feeling that way? So now this makes a little bit more sense. Yes, you can have girls' days and go to the zoo and do everything like that. I get it. But they should have asked you. I feel like they should include you in asking, hey, we're going to the zoo this weekend. Do you want to go to the zoo?
My sneaking suspicion is that the girls' night tradition has been going on for a hot minute, and OP never voiced any real concern or upsetness about it for long duration, and is now realizing, hey, I do feel some kind of way about this. And now the debt of all of those weekends and all of those events that he didn't get to participate in has turned him maybe a little bitter about it. And it's not coming from places like, you guys know I like you, right? Like, you don't have to just have girls' weekends so that you don't see me, because I do like you guys. Like,
I like the zoo. I like food.
I like food and the zoo.
Again, yes, girls and guys can do whatever they want, but if you're not including one family member because of their gender on like every other weekend, it seems to stack up, and I would get bitter.
The flip side of this is that actually, like, OP's right, and they are literally just excluding him because he's the only guy in the family. If that is the case, like, once you've determined that, you take that information and you compute it and you process it, and then you do what you've already been doing, which is just like live your own life, man.
You know what I would have done? I would have texted the group chat. I'm like, hey guys, next girls' night or girls' day, whatever you guys are doing, could I come? I would like to be a part of it. We have a deleted comment. Family vacations can be great, and it can hurt to not be included, but we are not entitled to it. But that's just the thing. Ever since I was a kid, these vacations were family vacations. We rented out the same beach house. We spent time together for a week and bonded. And now I'm being told, oh, we're still doing the same thing. You just can't come. Question: have you ever attempted to host or organize a get-together with your family? OP says, absolutely. I have get-togethers with them, my mother and my sisters, probably once every 2 to 3 months, and always at my invitation when their schedules permit, which they often don't. My issue is that the invitations never come the other direction. It seems like all their spare time is now girls only, and they are busy otherwise. And this is the comment. And of course, if this really hurts you, there's an appropriate, calm, and respectful way to bring it up to your family. But your current reactions, such as having a screaming match, loud argument, with your family is not it.
Before he even responds, I'm putting this out there. It takes 2 sides to have a screaming match. So I don't want to hear OP being like, I didn't even start yelling. It's like, well, if you started yelling, it doesn't matter when it happened. Now you're yelling.
OP says, my conversation was calm and respectful until my sisters and mother ganged up on me and told me I was being an a-hole for having a problem with being excluded. I only got loud. So yeah, you got loud. I only got loud when they got loud. When someone yells at you, do you immediately walk away or do you defend yourself?
I will tell you the best thing to do if you're in a discussion with somebody and then they get really loud. You go, hey, whoa, what just happened?
I was having a civil conversation with you. I was telling you my point of view, and now you're getting a little riled up because you don't understand my opinion.
Don't feed your intensity or your emotions back into it. Just go, whoa, hey, what happened? We were having a talk. And it takes them completely out of that moment. And then, productive dialogue can happen.
Another comment, not the a-hole. Maybe you weren't the only male in the family. I could see their position, but like you said, it feels like you're personally being excluded. The vacation really crosses the line. It makes me wonder about your relationship with them. Have you been close prior to all this and this girls' day thing just got out of control? Or have there been conflicts before and they are handling it immaturely? Yelling at them won't change their minds, and to be honest, I'm not sure what will. But try to be calm and responsibly explain how they are making you feel and why, logically, there is no need to have a girls-only vacation or birthday celebrations when that just means excluding you. I'm not totally against them doing their girls' day sometimes, but it doesn't seem like they're taking you into account at all. OP says, I'm very conflict-free and low maintenance as a person in general. My mother and sisters always tell me that if I get any more laid back, I'll be laying down.
Do they just think you're boring? Oh no, what if they just think OP's boring?
OP's just a chill guy, but again, they're thinking that. They're assuming. They are not asking, hey, do you want to be included?
I'm kind of a coin flip between everyone sucks here and no a-holes here. I think I'm right on the line. I can't tell which one it is, though.
This argument with them was actually extremely out of character. My sisters and mother, on the other hand, always have drama with each other. And despite their drama, they always seem to patch it up and still do things together. I feel like the only person who isn't causing drama is me. And I'm also the only person not invited. I'm not sure if I explained correctly, but these events happen multiple times a month. And at this point, the only time I'm ever included in celebrations and events is holidays. Also, in regards to if we are close, I feel like we're about as close as is normal. I wouldn't say I confide in my mothers or sisters greatly, mostly because they're kind of gossips, and if you tell one suddenly, the whole family will be discussing your issues. That's probably also why. You don't want to spill the tea or listen to the tea or sip that tea. And that's okay. But I feel like those girls' nights, that's a time for them to like let it all out.
So they'd be doing stuff you wouldn't even want to do anyway.
But again, still tell them that you feel excluded, but you should tell this not to only your sisters and your mom, but your entire immediate family.
Yeah, I would say probably write a letter. Probably tell everybody, but not at the same time, so they can't gang up on you or like so it doesn't become contentious. Write them letters so you can get all your thoughts clearly stated without emotion taking over.
All you have to say is, I don't feel like we're as close as we used to be, and I want to be in your lives as much as you probably want me.
All you have to do is say, I want to be close to you.
I don't think I've done anything to cause issues, but I'll think about it and see if I can remember anything. And then here's another comment. So then they think you are a pushover. Anyways, you're not the a-hole. What kind of family isolates one member like that? OP says, the funny thing is, I got a significant raise in the last few years, and I make a good deal more money than my mom and sisters due to my profession having high earning potential. I was going to pay for the beach rental this year as a treat. If I'm not invited, I'm definitely not paying. I guess I'll find somewhere I want to go and see if one of my buddies wants to come along. And we do have an update, and we're going to jump right into it. This last month has been kind of wild for me, so I haven't had an opportunity to update this until now. The descriptions of my family and my family situation in this thread were specific enough that one of my family members found out about it and confronted me.
I want to see. I want to know.
Due to the fact that I had deactivated my Facebook and was only receiving their text messages, I didn't realize what was happening before I was ambushed by it. My sister, oldest, confronted me about it and asked if it was me who made the thread, and I confirmed that it was. She insisted I was being crappy for airing the family's laundry like that. I responded that I in no way did that, as I was speaking very generally and never identified who my family was.
The sister literally doesn't even know what airing your dirty laundry is. She's like, I can't believe you would post our family business anonymously with all of our names changed and enough details lacking that no one except the people directly involved could know what it was. He's not airing your dirty laundry. He's trying to get information.
He's trying to get people to like give him advice when, you know, you guys had a loud argument and didn't want to actually talk to him.
I'm on OP's side now. The ladies are the ones being a-holes. Ladies just got it out for OP.
Let's keep reading. This spread to my family, and now the thread was shared on Facebook and everyone was shown. I was invited to a family meeting. We never have those. Intervention time, where I was sat in front of a firing squad of angry women who told me that what I did was wrong and demanded an apology. They said that I knew they weren't excluding me, and because I gave everyone that impression, I owed them an apology. I replied that I absolutely did not know they were not excluding me, and included examples of things they did, such as the birthday dinner, going to an amusement park, and going to a baseball game. Once again, they characterized this as girls-only events of fun where boys just weren't allowed or welcome because they wanted to talk about things guys wouldn't be interested in.
All right, dude, I'll hang out like over there. Just bring me. I'll be off to the side.
Sometimes I like to talk about tea too, you know? I replied that she needs to stop saying guys because there's only one guy who would have been invited, and that's me. So what she's really saying is it's a no OP event, not a girls only event. They explained that it wasn't excluding me because regardless of whether I was interested in the event, the conversation would have bored me because I'm not a girl. At this point, we were going around in circles, so I just explained my perspective. I said that I'm the only male in our immediate family, and when the people in my immediate family get together on a regular basis, not a one-off or once in a while, and don't include me, regardless of what they called it, I feel excluded.
Okay, so that is totally fair and valid. All of this is fair and valid. However, the communication panel or the communication channel we are taking is not effective. We are going in circles. So how do we address this? Do you know how we would address this, Keon?
I want to hang out with my family.
Yes. Don't make it like you're doing all of this stuff and it makes me feel a certain way. Just skip all that and go, I like you guys. I want to spend more time with you. Can I come on the trips?
I explained that the breaking point was the family vacation, and that there was absolutely no reason to leave me out of a vacation I was always invited to, particularly when that's the only family vacation we do, and they've stated they cannot afford a second one.
We're finding out who cares and who doesn't.
At the end of this family meeting, I was never given an apology. No one tried to empathize with my perspective, and I was accused of many things that I didn't do by any reasonable interpretation. I told my mother and my sisters that we had reached a breaking point in our relationship and that I was going no contact for a while. I told them I'm an adult and I have my own life, and the reason I wanted to be involved was because I didn't want one of those family relationships where you only see your family at holidays. Fair. If that's not what my family wants, then it's okay. But I told them that I was not going to be involved with people who made me feel crappy and intentionally left me on the outside looking in of my own family. And by the way, you can look in, out, around with us every single day and listen to full episodes with stories just like this. You can go to Spotify, Apple Podcast, iHeartRadio, wherever your favorite podcast app is, and search OK Storytime.
That's right.
There's a little bit more to the story, but I think we've said our piece. And you kind of said it at the end. I just want to spend time with my family rather than see ya at Christmas and Thanksgiving.
Now that we've gotten to the tail end of this, I'm doubting more and more whether, even if OP had a perfect communication style, whether or not it would have done anything. I really feel like for some reason the women in your family have just decided to completely ostracize you.
That's crazy that they just assumed these are girls-only activities and we can, do all these fun things without him because he's going to be bored. Let's finish the story off. My mother and sisters told me that if I was going to lie about them to everyone, they don't care. It seems like they care. At this point, my relationship with my family is over. I left that family meeting and have not reactivated my Facebook, have not received any contact, and have not initiated any contact. Que sera, sera.
Is that it is what it is?
Pretty much, it is what it is.
At this point, though, he's right. It's like it is what it is. I said that earlier in the story. If you come to the conclusion that you really are being excluded on purpose for all of this stuff, then you just have to move on with your life and move forward with that knowledge and that information and live your life.
Just hang out with your buddies and go do boys things. That's the end of that story.
My brother-in-law made fun of my disability, and my girlfriend didn't stand up for me.
So much for family sticking together.
I, 30 male, was born with a bone missing in my arm. As a result, I only have one digit. If that wasn't enough, it was in a fixed position with my digit up by my shoulder, and the ligament and tendons didn't really develop, so I can't straighten my arm. By the way, this comes from One Armed Cook, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to r/OK Storytime subreddit. My parents were great at making sure I would be independent and able to live by myself. Some things I can't physically do, like tie shoelaces. For the most part, I can cut anything by myself, but I struggle with doing fine dices. Every other month or so, my mom will finally cut some vegetables for me, usually onions, celery, and carrots, so that I can freeze them. I asked her to do this when I lived on my own for the first time because I was fed up of sending onions flying all over my kitchen if I used a knife or it turning into mush if I used the food processor. When my girlfriend, 28 female, started dating, she told me that she couldn't cook, but also didn't have an interest in learning to cook. cook. I said this was fine because I like to cook, so when she moved in, I became the de facto cook. She has never expressed a problem with my mom cutting vegetables for me. She actually preferred it, as she had said she couldn't cut them finely for me. Her brother, 35 male, is currently staying with us and has been for the last 4 weeks since his ex threw him out because of how lazy he is. He doesn't have a job. I don't think he has for the 3 years I've been with girlfriend, nor is he looking for one. We were his last resort because no one else would take him in, not even their parents. My mom came over yesterday with the freezer bag of diced veggies for me. Brother-in-law was annoyed when he saw my mom with the veggies because that morning girlfriend and I had spoken to him about not being lazy and get a job because he's an adult and needs to stop relying on people like a child. Girlfriend's words, not mine. He was annoyed because he saw me as being a hypocrite because I was getting my mom to cut things for me like a child. Or perhaps this man has one arm
And one digit.
and one digit.
Like there's a difference between getting your parent to like do things for you to make it easier
Yeah.
and just refusing to get a job.
Yeah, like you have no excuse. After my mom left, he accused her of mollycoddling me and treating me like I'm incompetent. For me, this crossed a line because this is something I physically can't do, and my mom's just being helpful. I told brother-in-law that I wanted him to leave and that he was no longer welcome in my home. Girlfriend moved in with me to my house, and girlfriend was upset that I asked her brother to leave as I made a decision without her input and left with him. Good, honestly. You freeloaders can get out. We don't want you here.
Who's paying the bills though? Like if it's OP paying the bills mostly, like
Yeah.
I feel like then it's more of OP's decision. If it's like a joint thing where they're splitting the rent,
Yeah.
evenly, then I think maybe it should have been a joint decision.
I agree.
At that point.
I do think it should have been a conversation, but also he was incredibly rude and he's been living there for a month. It's like, okay, just get out.
But also insulting the homeowner is not.
Yeah.
It's not how you keep your welcome going.
if you're gonna live there for free, maybe watch your mouth. Since brother-in-law and girlfriend left, I have texts of him and their family accusing me of being a mummy's boy, telling me I need to cut the apron strings and cut my own vegetables like an adult. Girlfriend hasn't answered my texts. Am I the a-hole for telling my brother-in-law to leave? And edit, I do use frozen veggies. They're great for a lot of applications, but definitely not for fresh eating. I get some of the harder veggies like butternut squash already cut up and frozen, though frozen onions I seem to only be able to get sliced. My local supermarket does have prepared veg in the fruit and veg department, but it honestly doesn't look great. The onion in particular is always slimy looking. I do actually need to get a new veg chopper like the slap chop or the box ones that people have suggested. My niece, 3, broke my last one trying to help me cook. Aw. My sister offered to replace it, but I told her it was an accident and she didn't need to do that. I've seen links to a couple that look better than the one I had, where I might be able to cut as finely as I want, so I'm gonna order one and give it a try. And there are some relevant comments. Safarius X says, not the a-hole, you should seriously reconsider your future with this woman. Not only is she too lazy to cook, but she wants you to coddle her and her brother, yet allows her family to mock you for your disability. This is disgusting, OP. This is not something an adult, let alone a partner, does. Her family really can't say much about being spoiled, while their daughter can't even cook for herself and their son is a freeloading bum who can't look after himself. Info, what chores does she do, if any? Does she work? Did she contribute to the house equally? I'm asking as the comment about her letting you cook for her irks me. And then OP says, she does work. She's got a part-time receptionist job. She does do some chores, but I've got to ask her if she'll do it. If she's washing clothes, she'll only wash hers, not mine. She does contribute towards the bills, but it's not a 50-50 split because of the difference in our incomes. She doesn't pay towards the house or house upkeep. This was on the recommendation of my dad in case we split up, because then she would be able to go after my house as she paid towards it. And Safarius X says she does do some chores, but I got to ask her to do it. If she's washing clothes, she'll only wash hers, never mind. Safarius responds, I'm sorry, what? You're talking about a fully grown woman, not a teenager. Dude, run. Your dad saw this woman for what she was ages ago. Fuzzy Biscotti 7959 says, not the a-hole, but why did you let brother-in-law move in if you knew he was thrown out because he's lazy? Brother-in-law, jobless for years, doesn't actively look for one, doesn't help around the house. Didn't those things sound your alarms? OP says she fed me a lot of false promises that he was going to try and that he would help around the house, that it would only be for a couple of nights, that family should help family. I stupidly relented, thinking that maybe he'd change. Fiery Artemis says, not the a-hole, and I find it a big red flag that your girlfriend doesn't know how to cook and doesn't want to learn either. The least she could do is chop the veggies for you so that way your mom doesn't need to take the time to do it and then drive them over to you. However, your mom sounds awesome for helping you like that. And OP says, see, this didn't bother me at the time. I like to cook. But I'd be lying if I said I didn't get a bit grating at times doing all the cooking. My sister tells people that she doesn't cook or want to learn to cook, but she can and does cook. So at first I thought she meant it like my sister did. She tells people this so that she won't be asked to cook for our family Christmas meal, but she does still host Christmas when it's her turn, but she takes us out or we order takeout. And there is an update, but do you have any thoughts?
My thoughts are like, what interested OP to the girlfriend in the first place? Because it doesn't seem like she's ready to
What does she offer?
commit to the relationship, right?
Yeah.
She doesn't, like, she only does half the laundry. She doesn't commit fully to like paying half the bills. She has to be asked to do chores, and then she brings her brother in and like lies about what he's doing. So like, what brought them together in the first place? And like, where would this relationship have gone if not for this stuff with the brother?
Well, I'm wondering if it, originally when they weren't living together, it probably was a little bit better. And then living together has kind of revealed all of these, personality defects in his girlfriend. But yeah, OP is not the a-hole. The brother was doing nothing. His girlfriend was doing nothing. And they were both critiquing OP for getting vegetables chopped. So ex-girlfriend came around this afternoon to collect her belongings. It was very anticlimactic, but I'm not upset that she's gone because she showed me her true colors, though she blamed me for it all and has not apologized for her or her brother's actions. She had written a post on her Facebook on Saturday, basically bad-mouthing me, calling me all sorts of names, and said that I was a mummy's boy and refused to cut the apron strings. I didn't see it. I don't have Facebook, but my sister, 28 female, did, and she screenshot it and sent it to me. The comment section was a dumpster fire because her friends were saying things like, of course he needs help. He has one arm. That's so funny. Her friends are in her comments going, you idiot. Oh my God.
What does she expect to do now? Where is her support system?
And telling her that she should be helping me. She has since deleted the post. You freaking idiot. Of course that makes you look bad. I'm glad that her friends were like, he has one arm. Why aren't you chopping the vegetables? To complain about someone else making you food is wild.
There's always that one friend in the group, and
like,
it's her.
Yeah. After my sister saw the post, she called her uncle to let him know what had happened and suggested that he came around and changed my locks for me because she didn't trust ex-girlfriend and wanted to make sure I was safe. As ex-girlfriend left, my uncle arrived to change the locks, which angered her. She got upset and asked if we didn't trust her. I hesitated, and my uncle smirked and said, no. After ex-girlfriend left, my uncle teased me about it taking so long to realize she wasn't a nice person. None of them liked her, but didn't say anything because they could see I was happy. Apparently, she and my sister loathed each other as my sister was angry about the way she was treating me. I was just too enamored to see it. And you can be enamored in full episodes with stories just like this. Just go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or iHeartRadio and search up OK Storytime. But there is a teeny bit left to the story. Do you have any final thoughts?
It's just like, how far would this have gone?
Yeah.
Had that not been that one blow up, like how much more advantage would have been taken over OP? Like,
yeah. Like if the brother hadn't stayed.
How much more bullying would there have been? How much more abuse? How much would it have? Because the longer that festers, the worse the blow up is going to be.
Yeah. She played her hand too early.
It's only been 4 weeks now. Let's say maybe 2 months down the line when the brother is established to have been living there. I don't know if this is probably not in the US because they're using mummy as instead of mommy. That's I've noticed it's a UK.
I think it's a UK, yeah.
But I don't know what the law is there, but if the brother-in-law was able to establish that was his residence and was getting mail there, good luck getting rid of him.
Yeah. It's really hard with squatting.
This is a really good thing.
Yeah, you realized it's good to get rid of both of them, honestly. But OP continues, my sister has also sent me the number of one of her friends, Jane, 29 female, and told me that Jane is waiting for me to text her for a date when I'm ready. Dang! And that this is the last time she's giving me the number of a friend. I've known Jane for years through my sister. She's lovely and I do like her. We get on incredibly well, but Jane was in a long-term relationship before I got with my ex. Jane works as a chef in a local hotel and has previously offered to help me with chopping because she's a good egg. Ooh. So there's that. But that is the end of that story.
I was told I'm not a parent after supporting my best friend's child for years.
That doesn't seem too nice. I think maybe you should remove your services.
This is a long one. The background. 12 years ago, my best friend passed away during our last year of university. The accident shook us all, and no one more than his wife, we'll call her Elena, who was at that point 4 months pregnant. All three of us had been incredibly close friends. By the way, this comes from Capital Guard. If you want to submit any of your own stories, go to the r/OKStorytime subreddit. So she couldn't do it alone, and her family lived 2,000 miles away. After speaking to her about it, I made a decision. I was the more financially stable of the two of us. I had secured a position at a law firm, this is in the UK, and had some inheritance from my grandparents. So I became the base of support. I took Elena to the doctors, helped her with rent, got her groceries, etc., etc. When the twins were born, I moved onto her couch for 3 months, helping her in any way I could.
He's doing the most.
Yeah.
Doing the most.
For the next 4 years, it worked like this. We lived separately, but I spent half the week at hers helping the kids from diapers to preschool.
Oh my God.
I was there. I was never officially their parent. No papers were signed, but I gave emotional, practical, and financial support. When they began schooling, I was listed as a non-parental guardian. I was then offered a promotion, which included lots of travel.
Got a promotion to dad.
I thought that's where they were going at first. But, you know.
I mean, maybe she'd, moved him off the couch and then started calling him daddy.
I mean,
it starts with one.
Again, Elena and I spoke, and I decided to take it. I spent the next 2 years making it back once a month. I'd spend 3 to 5 days with them, then leave again. For 2 years after that, the balance became half and half travel and home. For the past 4 years, I've used the UK as a hub, doing business trips, and having gone back to spending 3 to 4 days a week with them. To be clear, the whole thing has never been romantic. Both she and I have seen other people, and in the past year, she's found a very nice guy who both the kids like, which is great. The issue at hand. I've always tried to be there for the kids' big events. School plays, birthdays, tournaments, etc. I've been to the parent-teacher meetings, taken them to the doctor. Now, recently, their school had set up shows/fundraising thing where the parents are invited to come and donate generously. I assumed I was going, set aside the time, and when I broached the subject with Elena, she said she wanted her partner to come. I said we could all go. She said it was parents only. So I said jokingly that he wasn't really the kid's parent, to which she said, well, technically, neither are you.
Get out. I don't like this at all.
At that point, I got angry, feeling that was deeply unfair. We got into a fight, and then it ended with me being told I wouldn't be welcome at that event. I left, and we haven't spoken since. I get that she's their mother. She has a genetic and legal position that I don't. I'm not angry about wanting her partner to come to the event. Being told I wasn't a parent, though,
That's gotta hurt.
that hurts a lot. I think it's mostly the fact that for me, the way she said she really seemed to imply that I wasn't important in their lives, and I think I was justified in my reaction. That's why I'm here. So Reddit, am I the a-hole? People of the comments have similar questions. One of which, what is the relationship between you and the kids? How do they see you? Without giving too many identifying details, there's a way of shortening my name, which is very baby friendly. And when the twins were little, we taught them that. There were some slip ups when they were small, but I always tried to make sure that they knew I wasn't substituting their biological father. To this day, they call me the shortened version of my name when they speak to me directly, and they've been told to ask your OP from their mother before. It is effectively my title, and like all of this, it's unfortunately not straightforward. In terms of attachment, I've been the one that they've called out after a nightmare, run to after scoring a goal, held the hand of when we went to the doctors. When I was overseas, we'd call every 2 to 3 days to talk. They'd also stay over at my place on weekends and afternoons. They have their own area in my home. Question 2, how was your relationship with Elena prior to this? She was my best friend for 12 years. We've always discussed my contributions, which have changed in type and amount over the past decade or so. We've spoken almost every day. Our relationship before this incident was rarely strained. We've had some fights, yes, but in the same way anyone who you know for 12 years will have a fight. We rarely disagreed on how the kids should be raised, even on things like religion. Both their father and I practice the same faith, and the kids have come with me once a month to service. However, I've always made it clear to her that she has the last word on things, and if she drew a line, I never pushed it. Hence why, when told, don't come to the event, full stop, I'm not going to push it or go. Is this new partner who might be pushing back against your involvement?
That was my question. That was definitely my question.
That has to be it because it's such a flip.
OP answers, I don't know, but I hope not. He and I have been amicable since we met, and I've never gotten any hostility from him. I hold no anger over her finding someone to be with. He deserves to be happy, and this new guy seems truly to be a good one. She has dated before, but they were never serious enough to introduce to the kids. This is the first time, and luckily, they seem like they like him too. They have been together for just under a year, and he's known the kids for around months or so. Question 4. Did she ask the kids? Did they say something? I don't know. How much time have you physically spent with them? For 8 to 10 years, I have been present 3 to 4 days a week. Not full time, I see this, but constant. For 2 of those 12 years, the 2.5 I spend 3 to 5 days a month. I fully acknowledge that I wasn't present at that time, but I did call the 3 of them every 2 to 3 days. So again, he's talking to them.
Yeah, he's
multiple times a week.
extremely involved.
Yeah. Why were you going to the fundraiser in the first place? I've been going to them at the school since the kids started there. The teachers know the situation, and I'm friends with a number of the parents. I would have been happy to attend separately just to see the kids in their show. I wasn't and am not really worried about the event. Being excluded stings, as I think is clear from my text. However, what truly hurt and created the anger was the "you're not a parent" part.
Yeah.
And the dismissal that I felt that contained it. If it had been worded as, I wanted to do this thing with just the 4 of us and make it a date, I genuinely think this would have been different. And what do you/have you contributed financially? In the beginning, I paid half for rent, groceries, baby supplies, etc., etc. I have always and currently do pay for the kids' tuitions as they attend a private institution. So I fund their hobbies and most holidays, camps, etc., etc., as well as any gifts that I may make. Question 8, cut them off. No, unless Elena tells me to stop with any of the support, financial, emotional, practical, I will not be cutting them off. I love these kids. I will not let what is a personal dissonance between us adults impact them. Parent or not, I will not take away the support. Ladies and gentlemen, we have an update.
Oh boy.
Will he stay? Will he go? Will he be accepted?
Opie's got to stay. Opie's got to stay.
He's got to stay. I think he'll stay in some capacity, but if she keeps pushing him out.
Well, I mean, he doesn't really have a choice.
Update. Well, it's been a long several months and a lot has happened. So I thought I'd give Reddit an update. There were a lot of not the a-holes on the last post, but a lot of your not the parents as well. A mixed field, but a fair assessment. For the record, I did not attend a show, but was delighted by the pictures. After, as many of you lovely Redditors pointed out, the best thing to do is to talk with Elena. We've been best friends for over a decade. I'm happy to report we continue to be. I'll give the short of the situation. Elena and I spoke a lot. It started with little steps, but we got to the big issues. Our link, my link with the kids, her new partner, the whole deal. Little by little, we got things set straight and where we both sit on them. As some of you rightly guessed, there was a lot to untangle, but 15 years of friendship saw us through. The next phase was talking to the kids. First, Elena, then us together. I'd already gone back to seeing them, and as I mentioned before, their welfare has always been my priority. Surprisingly, the conversation was more straightforward than it had been with Elena. Somewhere in the middle, we also spoke. There was a lot of speaking with Elena's partner, who I'm going to be calling Bob. The beginning wasn't the smoothest, but we got there. Here's what came of it. The truth of the matter, I'm not the twins' biological father. But what we realized was that somewhere in the past 12 years of sharing our lives, and despite trying so hard not to overstep boundaries, I fell into the role. I can't separate myself, and they don't want me to. So slowly, we've been working on what this new unconventional normality looks like. Bob has been a surprising godsend of all of this. I really think Elena has found a good guy. I'm still mostly called by my nickname, but the slips have gone uncorrected. In the meantime, Bob's gotten his own moniker. A little way down the line in all of this, the old vid happened. It became a thing. So we decided to take a big jump. I moved in for the duration of the quarantine. Now, this was easier than moving their whole household into my apartment. No better way to put an arrangement to the test. I'm back to my university days of sleeping on the couch, working at the kitchen table, and cooking every dinner. I've stopped not one, but 2 doomed attempts at self-dyeing hair and had a conversation with one twin about taking my surname when he's older. He thinks it makes his name sound cooler, and I've said that we'll ask his mom. So Reddit, I hope that this can bring a bit of joy to the Am I the A-hole community. It's not easy. We are adjusting, and we all know this will remain unconventional. However, the kids are happy, and we adults are too.
Bob stumbled into the most complicated relationship ever.
And he's making it work.
And he's rolling with the punches.
He's rolling with the punches.
I feel like the real hero here is Bob. So shout out
to Bob.
Bobby. Bobby.
And ladies and gentlemen, if you want to be as a self-secure hero as our dear friend Bob, there's only one thing you have to do.
One thing. Spotify,
Apple Podcasts, your favorite podcast app. You just search OK Storytime. You have thousands of episodes of content to binge.
Do it!
Become the best you
Do
can.
it!
P.S. to the Redditor who named me as the Intercontinental Super Uncle Warbucks. When this is all over, I'm getting that on a mug. And another edit. Thank you all so much for the well wishes. I'm glad I could share this lovely update with you all. And a lot of you lovely folks have inquired about adoption. In the UK, there's no option to adopt someone you are not related to.
Wait, there's no option for adoption?
Unless you, A, apply for adoption order, which would sever the link with the living parent, or B, you are the partner of the living parent. As can be seen, neither would work for, okay, so basically in order to adopt them, they would legally have to like sever ties with their mother.
That's crazy. I don't think
Stupid
that.
system.
Yeah, that I feel that's dumb. It's kind of dumb, right?
Yeah, that's like the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
Yeah.
However, we figured out a system a long time ago, and it includes what to do if we were to befall. A, kid safety is always insured, I promise, and that's it.
Yep, that's it.
He
Is that,
promised-
is that it? That's
He
it?
yeah.
Wow.
He
OP is
promised that he
short and
meant
to the
it.
point. OP has money to make, children to watch.
Dude,
You know?
so much money to make
Bob's
and so many
alpha.
children to watch.
Yeah. Woo!
Wow.
I mean, that turned out way better than expected.
My friend made up awful stories about me after I took her in.
You traitor.
Trigger warning, there's mentions of abuse. I, 25 female, have my own 2-bedroom apartment that used to belong to my uncle. I made a friend during my uni years. I'll call Mary, 27 female. Mary had quite a hard home life. Too long to detail here. I let her know that if she ever needed my help, she could always rely on me no matter what. By the way, this comes from user InterestingFox4506. And if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OK Storytime subreddit. When we graduated, I asked her to move in with me rent-free. She tried to pay, but I knew she had a lot of debt trying to pay for uni, so I told her no and to spend her money freeing herself from her debt. She was so thankful for this, and I loved her living with me. We never fought about anything. Both of us have the same cleaning habits and TV interests, so there's never any arguments over the remote or who has to take out the bins. Tonight, we were out at a super fancy restaurant in London as Mary had finally paid off the last of her debt, secured herself an amazing promotion at her job, and also finally passed her driving test. All these achievements in the same month were more than deserving of an award, so we splashed out. It was me, Mary, 4 of her work friends, and 2 friends we've known since uni. It was a great night until I handed Mary a card saying how amazing she is and how lucky I am to have her as my best friend, with quite a bit of cash inside to put towards her first car. She started crying and thanking me, and we hugged for a long time. When she pulled away, I told her I was so proud of her for kicking life in the butt, becoming successful, and showing her dad that his wiener-headed ways couldn't keep her down. After how she'd struggled through uni, pushing pennies together and working crap jobs, seeing her in her dream career and being such an accomplished woman is absolutely inspiring to me. She looked mad and said, "Please don't do that. You know I don't like it when you do that." She never said anything like this to me, ever, so I have no idea where this was coming from. I apologized and said that I didn't realize saying these things would upset her, as it's never been my intention. She just scoffed and rolled her eyes, and when I looked up at her colleagues, they were all shaking their heads at me and glaring. I felt so awkward, I wanted to shrink back in my own skin, and I was mortified that I hurt Mary. Mary didn't talk to me for the rest of the night and ignored me at the table. When we split up to head home, none of her colleagues even looked at me as they left. I said sorry to Mary as she was heading into her room to turn in, but she just shrugged me off, told me she was tired and that we'll talk in the morning. I'm so anxious that she'll want to move out or never talk to me again. I keep going over every interaction in my head to see if I had crossed the line in the past, but she never gave any indication that I upset her saying these things before. All her colleagues messaged me saying I was an a-hole for saying those things to her and belittling her, but I never ever meant any of those things like that. This is an update to this post. Okay, everything happened in one day. I'm posting them all below because I didn't get the chance to write these up after everything happened, as my post didn't have a judgment yet. I saw a lot of mixed reactions, but there was also some great advice in there about how to approach Mary, so thank you for that. I'm afraid that all the well-meaning advice turned out to be for nothing, so I'm sorry about that. Things are time-stamped roughly to show how the day unfolded. Update 2. So, I'm even more confused than ever right now. After staying up all night and being constantly on the verge of tears, I finally heard my roommate moving around in the kitchen, So I went to talk to her. She acted totally normal and started talking to me about some drama at her work while I just stood there kind of unsure about what was happening or what to do. So I apologized again. She looked up at me in confusion and said, "Why are you sorry?" I reminded her of last night and how mad she was. Then she laughed and said, "It doesn't matter, don't worry about it," and then continued making breakfast. I asked if I'd stepped over a line last night, if the money was too much, if I made her feel inferior, and she said, "Nope, we're cool, doesn't matter. I think everyone just misunderstood the situation and you're taking things to heart a little too much." I hate this person already. I
What are you
despise these kind of people.
about?
Kind of people who are just like, well, no, you shouldn't care. You shouldn't care, so I'm not going to explain. You don't have to care, even though you feel like you care and like you just want to know what happened. I don't care to tell you, and I don't need to because I don't care.
Other coworkers are bullying your friend. Your friends are attacking OP. So you actually do have to clarify this situation.
I'm just even more confused than ever. I told her about friends texting me and telling me that what I said was belittling and I was an a-hole, and she just shrugged and said they probably misread things and she'll talk to them. But I'm just so winded. I'm so tired because I haven't slept because I thought she hated me, that I had hurt her and she'd never speak to me again, but she's fine. Like she's completely normal and just chatting with me as if last night never happened, but I'm just so confused. After seeing so many "you're the a-hole" comments, I thought I'd really crossed a line this time, but she's not phased at all. She seemed so upset and ignored me for the rest of that night, and her coworkers treated me like a criminal, but everything's okay, I guess. I don't know anymore. I'm tired and I'm going to sleep, but things are still unresolved. I'm going to talk to her about it when she comes back from work today because her reaction still really bothers me. And here we go. 10 a.m. I got a call from one of the uni friends who was at dinner last night, and we had a chat. She asked me if everything was okay between me and Mary, as she said she'd never seen Mary snap at me like that until last night. I filled her in on everything that we talked about and how confused I was as well. She reaffirmed many of my feelings about this being very out of character for Mary, as she had also congratulated Mary and even said similar things, as well as given her a bit of money in a card, along with an expensive gift, as did many others. After talking to my friend, I've decided that I need to have a long sit down with Mary to clear things up. And it's not only me who's confused by her behavior. Both the uni friends are coming around later to have a chat, since now we're honestly quite concerned about her. Her friends have not let up on their texts to me, so I don't think she's spoken to them. One said I couldn't try and sweep this under the rug, which is like, what are we talking about?
No, at this point, because the texts have not stopped, I'd go to your friend and say, "Hey, your friends are harassing me. This needs to stop right now."
Yeah, I'm thinking of blocking all of them,
Yeah.
as they just won't leave me alone.
Absolutely.
Go ahead.
You don't know them, presumably. I mean, they're her coworkers. Block all of them.
Yeah.
And then have a conversation with her.
Third update. This is not an update I expected to make in a million years. Crap has really hit the fan and went sideways in a way I never imagined. I'm confused, heartbroken, and really pissed off. So long story short, it's all an effing lie. Which part?
Which part?
Let's find out.
She's not even my roommate.
One Redditor said to me that my friend might have said something to Mary's work colleagues about me that made them not like me. I talked to both of them when they came around in the afternoon, and they both denied any of that. The one I had spoken to earlier on the phone, Claire, said she'd called one of the work colleagues that she knows slightly well in order to clear things up. Let's call the colleague Jane. Jane turned up at the flat and instantly looked pissed. I almost wanted to hide behind the kitchen counter when she came in glaring daggers at me. We all sat down, and I let Jane know that I'd spoken to Mary about last night and that she was fine. But I was still confused. Jane then laughed and said, "Oh, don't try that crap with me. You can't just pretend now that you've been exposed in public." The three of us looked at her without saying a word, as we were all confused now. Claire asked her what she meant, and Jane said that she knew how I really treated Mary. We both asked her to elaborate. And she stood up and went on this tirade about how I apparently regularly abuse and belittle Mary, then intimidate her into saying nothing about it, and put on a smile for others. I wasn't sure whether to laugh or cry at this point. She then showed me her text with Mary, where Mary wrote to her in distress about being locked in her room because I was having a meltdown about her making friends at work. Something that never happened. Claire and my other friend took the phone and looked through the messages as well, and I had to stop reading them as they all said stuff about how Mary was afraid of me and that I trapped her here and was extorting rent out of her. It all just leaves me numb inside. Eventually, Claire got to a point where Mary said I'd canceled her 21st birthday at uni and told her she wasn't allowed to go out. The thing is, Claire and my other friend were at Mary's 21st birthday, in which I'd put over £500 towards to have a themed Great Gatsby night that she'd always wanted, which in the messages she was claiming never happened. We went over a lot of the stuff in the messages and realized that Mary had been spreading lies about me to all of her colleagues about how I was harmful and she couldn't move out because I was charging her so much rent money. This absolutely shattered me. Mary was like a sister to me through our uni years, and I can't fathom why she'd say any of these things. It took a long time, but after Claire, my friend, went over all the accusations with Jane, and I pulled up my bank details to show that Mary never makes a single payment to me, except for her half of the bills, she seemed to cool down and settled into the same confusion we were all feeling. She let us know that Mary told all of her colleagues this story, and that the reason they were mad at me is because Mary said I like to use a manipulation tactic where I pretend to support her through everything, but use her past against her whenever we're in private. They all thought that's what I had been doing last night. They thought everything I said was meant to be a backhanded compliment. Honestly, I'm so just about everything. I can't even put into words the hurt and betrayal I feel that she's spread these lies about me. And for what reason? What benefit? I could never lift a single finger to hurt her, but she tells everyone at her work that I isolate her from the world? Claire had to calm me down as I couldn't stop crying no matter what I did for ages. It was quite embarrassing, but I just couldn't do anything else. Now I'm a little more level-headed, but still mad, but not crying anymore. I don't even want to look at Mary again. Understandable.
Yeah, let alone have her be your roommate.
My friends have told me not to make hasty decisions. Even Claire said she was disgusted by the things Mary was saying about me in the texts when everyone knows them not to be true. I know that I probably won't be able to clear my name with her colleagues, but I don't really care about that. I just want to know why Mary has said these things about me. Jane went quiet by the end of our discussion and left without saying much, so I don't know what that means for me in her eyes. My two friends are staying with me for the rest of the day until Mary comes home. We've all got a lot of questions for her to answer, and there is a fourth update here. I have booted Mary out of the flat. She threw away years of friendship for sympathy points with her colleagues, and I still cannot understand why. When she got home and saw the three of us watching television, she got excited and said she'd make popcorn. Claire took the lead and told her to sit down. She looked confused, but complied. Claire led the whole conversation. I didn't really know what to say to Mary at all and could barely make eye contact with her. Claire told her that Jane had been round and yelled at me for being an abuser and a bully and asked her why she'd say those things. Mary acted confused and said that it must all just be a miscommunication, that Jane just twists things sometimes, and she must have misunderstood the stuff she'd said. Claire asked about the text messages and started mentioning each event that Mary had cried to Jane about, me being an awful person. Jane went quiet and then tried to say it was a work joke, but Claire wasn't having any of it. She pushed harder about all of this, and eventually Mary broke. She started crying and telling us that she never meant any of it, that it was a stupid thing and it shouldn't matter, that she loved me with everything she had and it was just a stupid story that went too far. She started begging me for forgiveness, but I was just so tired, and I still am. I looked her in the eyes for the first time and told her she had a week to find a place and move out. And then she really started bawling her eyes out and begging me to let her stay, that she didn't think it would matter because I don't work with them. But I told her I was not having that kind of BS in my life. I then said, so, do you just make up lies about everyone in your life? Is any of it real? Then she went really quiet, completely silent at that point. I didn't want to believe it, but the way she was looking at me and the lies she'd made up about me abusing her had me questioning everything she'd ever told me when we were at uni together.
That's what I'm saying.
Yes.
That's what I'm saying.
Yes, about any abuse in the home, about her being homeless from 16 until they divorced. I then told her to get her mom on the phone, and she panicked and begged me not to.
Liar,
Call her mom.
Call her mom.
It is time to literally tear down this entire life of lies she
Fact
has
check
built.
everything she's ever said to you.
She needs to feel the heat and have serious consequences. Claire then realized where I was going with this and asked her if everything we've ever been told about her dad had been true. And she cracked and said she may have embellished a few things.
Wow.
I am effing fuming at this point. Who the F makes up this kind of twisted crap? For what benefit? Sympathy? I can't even write everything that was said, as it just resorted into a screaming match between all four of us. We learned that Mary's tragic life story had been nothing but a concoction to gain sympathy from others. Her parents are divorced, but there was no abuse involved.
Dang.
They just fell out of love and split. I had to learn this by calling her mother myself later on to get clarity. I'd never said a word to her mom about anything in the past, because Mary had warned me against it. She said I could always be open with her about everything, as she wasn't ashamed, but her mom was sensitive, didn't want to talk about it. So it turns out my best friend is a master manipulator and probably always has been. I am so tired and exhausted of this whole nightmare. This will be my last update, as I am done. I came here seeking help and advice to find a way to mend a mistake I had made with a trusted friend, but it turns out that the last 7 years have been built on a lie. I am effing done with Mary, with everything. I don't want to see her again. I know she can afford her own place, so I don't feel bad about forcing her out. I don't care what she does now. I just know that I don't want her around anymore. I think I'm going to book myself some therapy sessions after all this crap. It's not a happy update, but it's the only conclusion I've got. Thank you, everyone, for all the advice you gave me over the many updates. I appreciate all of it. I'm sorry it's not cheerful, but I just hope I can move on from all of this. And there's a 5th update, you liar.
What the hey, dude?
Look at you fibbing. I never thought I'd be writing any more on this post, but holy crap, did it blow up overnight. I never expected the amazing responses I got, nor the wonderful people in my messages sharing their stories and wishing me all the best. It honestly brought me to tears to just see this flood of understanding and empathy appear out of nowhere. Thank you to everyone who took the time to message me or comment. I've read them all, and I am thankful for all the support I've been given. I didn't think I'd update any further, but since there's been so much recent interest, I can give you guys a little conclusion to how everything fully resolved. I didn't touch Reddit since my last update because I needed a lot of time to process what had happened, and having the place to myself was strange to adjust to at first. But as it turns out, it was very necessary to begin the healing process. Mary moved out the following Saturday of the incident. She spent the following days after the blow up moping around the flat and wanting to talk to me, but I refused and told her I needed space. Her mom came on the weekend to help her pack up her things, as Mary was going to move back in with her. Her mom cleared up a lot of the questions I'd had on my mind. I'd always been told by Mary that her dad had been harmful, but her mom had loved him so much she wouldn't leave him. So she left home and was homeless when she was 14, sleeping under benches and train stations, just so she didn't have to be in the house with him. She only moved back in when her mom finally got the guts to divorce her dad. This is a story I had believed for 7 years, and it turned out to be completely fake. Not only was Mary never homeless, but her father was never harmful and loved both her and her mom very much. The reason I never saw him around was because he'd moved to Australia to pursue his career, which was the real reason for the divorce. He loved his family, but wanted success even more. Boo, so he left. Her mom told me that Mary's dad was always inviting her over for the summer holidays, but Mary never went because she hates flying.
Don't think you can. I don't know about that. That's kind of crazy.
What, divorcing to what?
To pursue your career and leaving your child.
Yeah, I know. That's why I said boo.
behind.
I said boo to that.
Yeah.
That's kind of whack.
That's whack. If we're to believe anything that happened when she was 14, that's whack.
Super whack. The day she moved out, I stayed in my room and just hid away, but she knocked on my door before she left, and I answered. I still wanted to say goodbye. She had been my closest friend for so long that it didn't feel right just letting her fade out of my life without a send-off. She asked me if I wanted the money I gave her for her new car back, but I said no and told her to use it instead for therapy. She cried a lot and tried to hug me, but I kept her at a distance. I let her know this would be the final time we would ever see or speak to each other. I just couldn't be around her anymore with the knowledge of what she'd done. She left sobbing, and when she was gone, my little town flat felt suddenly bigger than it ever had been before. It grew 10 sizes. It's been hard adjusting to being alone in this place. For the first week she was gone, I still expected to see her in the kitchen every morning or on the sofa when I got home. It was unsettling, to say the least. I had my first therapy appointment last week, and I think it actually went well. I haven't been to therapy since I was in school, so I was very nervous to begin with, but my therapist is a very lovely lady who helped me understand that Mary's lies were her own making, and I had nothing to do with their creation. A lot of people said she was probably a compulsive liar, maybe even a self-absorbed person, and she seemed to agree loosely with that idea from what she'd heard. By the way, you can hear full episodes with stories just like this on your favorite podcast platform. No matter what it is, just search OK Storytime. And yet another revelation. I met with Jane for coffee as she'd asked me to meet up and clear up some details. She told me she'd been wondering about why Mary would make me the target of her abuse story and started asking people in her office about the things Mary had said about me in the past. One that stood out was a painter. They work in art restoration and distribution, who used his art as a means of channeling his traumatic history with his abusive stepmother. Apparently, Mary had taken quite a liking to him, and so she had first told him about her abuse as a way of getting closer to him. She'd mentioned fancying him in the past, but I didn't think she'd go to such lengths to create a connection between them. He'd been furious when he heard the truth, and now doesn't speak to her anymore. Jane told me not many people do now. They were now all worried that she'd make up stuff about them and get them in trouble at work, so they're keeping her at arm's length as a result. I felt a bit bad when I heard this, as I know that Mary is having a miserable time with our friendship group, exiling her as well. Jane apologized to me, but I told her she has nothing to be sorry about, that this was all Mary, and that she was only trying to protect what she thought was a mistreated friend. We left each other on good terms, but we don't have much in common, so I doubt we'll be friends in the future. Claire came to stay with me for a bit, which has helped with the loneliness a little. It's hard to be alone after having someone practically attached to your hip with you for so long. Thank you to you guys as well who left such kind messages in the comments, many of which were very helpful. I am so thankful to all of you for your words of advice and comfort you've given me. It's made a crappy situation much better. To know there are people out there who've been through the same thing and to offer words of encouragement to lost things like me. Thank you, everybody. And that is the end of that story.
There you go. Good luck, OP.
I
Hope you
don't-
find a normal roommate next.
Yeah. And you will, you know.
Yeah, there's tons of them.
It's a shame that this, you know, it's just a shame. There's nothing else to say, but
a
it's
dang shame.
good that you know the truth now and that, no, you just said, well, this is insane, but time to put one foot in front of the other.
My aunt kept barging into my office, so I banned her during work hours.
Get her out of there.
I, 36 female, took in my mother during the pandemic after some medical issues. I never made her move out after. It works for us. She has her own bedroom and bathroom. We share other spaces, and I work from home most of the time, so I can look after her. My stepdad passed away about a decade ago, and she was lonely. It made sense for us. By the way, this comes from I am not Lindsay Nagel. And if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OKStorytime subreddit. As I mentioned, I work from home most of the time, and a lot of times I'm in some kind of Teams meeting or call. Yes, even those that could be emails, but that's not important. So I don't really have time for chit chat during office hours. My mom's sister, aka my aunt, which I don't really mind, but she has a tendency to step into my office without knocking while I'm working and start talking to me about her neighbor's sister's kid who did blah, 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 blah. I've more than once explained to her that I'm working or I'm on a call and I can't really chat right now. But she just keeps talking like nothing happened. Today, she actually announced to my mom she was coming over. I reminded my mom to tell her I'm working and on calls and can't be disturbed, and my mom agreed. She would tell her not to bother me. But just to be safe, I locked my office door so she couldn't walk in. Despite my mom telling her, she came upstairs and tried to open the door. When it didn't open, she started knocking and calling out, "Hello, hello, it's me. Open up." No. No. I didn't respond at first as I was on a call with a client, but she kept banging on the door so loudly I ended up having to put the client on hold. I told her without opening the door, I was on a call and could not talk right now, and my aunt left in a huff. Now she's bombarding my mom with texts about how rude I was for locking myself in my office knowing I was having company. So am I the a-hole? There are some comments. There's an update. But what do you think, Angie?
Survey says,
Why would you be
No.
the a-hole? You're working.
yeah, you're working.
Why is your aunt there anyway?
Yeah, I mean, like, cause it's vid time.
It's
here.
vid time,
So
so you
it's
shouldn't
not
even
like-
be over.
Yeah, it's not like, oh, you just chose to work from home this day, or like,
No.
oh, you can choose your own schedule because you're working from home. It's like, no, I
You're
would be in an office,
Yeah.
so let's treat it like I'm in an office. Thank
Literally. And I locked the door. Comments. Oot Lawyer says, not the a-hole. You didn't have company. Your mother did. And it was while you were working. There's
Yeah.
nothing to apologize for. Interesting Novel 997 says, not the a-hole. Keep your door locked. Rinse, repeat. Maybe she'll finally get the hint. If she doesn't, tell your mom she needs to meet her sister somewhere else. She can't come to the house while you're working. Edit, in response to the Disneyland update, your aunt is a massive a-hole. I wonder if her kids still speak to her. Don't know what
Ooh,
that
that's
means.
so mysterious.
Healthy Study 4220 says if she keeps ignoring boundaries, she can lose visiting privileges during work hours. It's not complicated to respect a closed door while someone's working. Yeah, I think those comments are right. I think tell your mom first of all and say, "Hey,
Yeah.
you need to keep her out and stop
Right.
her from knocking on my door, or you can't have her over."
Yeah, because I mean, there's only a place for her to stay because I'm
Yes,
working. So let me
exactly.
maintain that, please.
Yeah. Update. I did not think I was the a-hole, but there's always that hint of doubt when you're like, maybe I should have poked my head out and said hello real quick. But the truth was, it was a busy day and I just hadn't had the time. After I finished my workday, I took my mom out for dinner and we discussed the matter. She hadn't responded to any of her sisters, my aunt's texts, because she's fully on my side. I know people are asking why my mom didn't stop her. My mom isn't very mobile anymore, and my aunt simply got up from her seat and took off upstairs despite my mom's warning. We discussed it over dinner, and we agreed that my aunt simply is not welcome during office hours, since it's the only way to stop this behavior. Either she can pick up my mom to go to a coffee shop and talk, come after office hours, or come over on the one day I work in office. My aunt seems pretty pissy about it, calling their brother, my uncle, to complain also, but he texted me earlier saying he told her how wrong she was. And apparently her husband had also told her she was wrong, so now she's currently stomping her feet at home because everybody's saying she's wrong. Delightful woman she is. Good. I'm glad everyone's setting her straight.
She's just pouting and throwing a tantrum.
Yeah, she's like, but you guys agree, and they're like, no. And she's like,
But
she's doing the thing where she goes,
yeah, exactly.
remind me to one day post the story about her Walterland trip.
Yes, please do. Please do.
She has twin boys, and for their birthday, she booked a trip to take them out and one of their friends out to Walterland. The friend ended up canceling last minute and told me if I pay the friend's share, I could go. Reasonable enough, I figured, why not? I was 16 at the time. This story is like 20 years old.
Oh, wow.
I'm European, so this is in Paris, and I'm not from France, so this is an international trip. This becomes important later. My cousins are maybe 10-ish at this point. So anyways, we're in the parks, and she's been a menace all trip, but I'm dealing with it. It's the last day, about 5 hours before we have to take our train back home. International traveling train with customs, etc., like a plane, would be only less boarding time. One of my cousins wants to go on the rock and roll roller coaster. The other one doesn't. The line is like 5 minutes or less, so my aunt tells me to go with them and she'll wait at the exit with our bags. So I leave my bag containing my phone, my ID, my money, everything in her care. Uh-oh. 10
yikes.
minutes later, me and my cousin get out of the ride and she's gone. So I start looking around. Cannot find her. After half an hour of waiting, maybe they went to the bathroom or something. Still nothing. We go check the bathrooms, neighboring rides, the works, no aunt. I have no phone on me to call her, and with us having to leave for the train in 4 hours, I get nervous. I'm a 16-year-old with a 10-year-old at my hand, and no money, no ID, no phone, nothing. So I decide to go to the Lost Kids department and explain my situation. They end up calling her through the park's intercom. Another hour goes by, no aunt. I remember my dad's phone number back home, so I use their landline to call him, and he tries calling her cell phone. My cell phone, no response whatsoever. At this point, I have like an hour or less before the train leaves, and I'm in hysterics because I can't board this train without money or ID, let alone with another minor. My cousin at this point, seeing my panic, is crying his eyes out, so I'm also dealing with a scared child. I'm barely an adult myself. My dad eventually tells me it makes no sense for him to drive out to Paris right now to go back to our hotel. He'll pay for another night and he'll come pick us up in the morning. So I take my cousin back to the hotel, explain the situation, and the reception hears me say my name and says, "Oh, sweetheart, I have a note for you." It's a note from my aunt. "Gone to dinner, see you on the train." She abandoned her own child at a park with OP, no phone, no nothing.
Yeah.
And then they miss the train because she tells the hotel.
right.
Gone to dinner?
Well,
Well, I would literally never trust that person ever again.
Yeah.
I would cut them
Yeah.
off.
It's crazy.
By the way, we'd never abandon you because you can listen to full episodes with stories just like this. Just go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or iHeartRadio and search up okay, story time. And there is a little bit left to the story, so let's get into it.
Please.
At this point, I have half an hour to run to the station, hoping we'll still get through customs where she's supposed to be waiting. I make it with 15 minutes to spare. I'm out of breath and fuming. We end up making it through customs, God only knows how, and manage to get on the train literally as the doors close on us. I call my dad, explain the update, and he's also fuming at this point. To which my aunt turns to me and goes, I don't know why you're so mad. I left a note at the hotel, and I brought you something to eat, and hands me a freaking dinner roll. She hands you a roll of bread? If that's what I'm understanding that to be. She hands you a roll of bread?
Yeah.
I took my stuff, went to the dining car with my cousin, who she almost abandoned, and gave him the biggest slice of chocolate cake my budget could buy, and never came back to our seats to talk to her. I literally would never have talked to her again. I would never have talked to her again. Wow.
Yeah, dude.
Comments. BeFree66 says, I read your original story plus your update. Aunt is an incredible a-hole. I don't know why anyone would spend any length of time around her, given the behaviors she's shown over the years. What the F is wrong with her brain that she thinks her behaviors are reasonable? I can't imagine the varying kinds of nonsense her husband has dealt with. I like the decision you stated in your update. She's not invited over on work days. I literally would never invite her. I would even severely limit the amount of time and hours she's at your place, even during non-work days. At least initially, so Aunt understands the gravity of her F-up behaviors. Why allow Aunt to inflict more misery on your mom or yourself? Aunt isn't worth that kind of abuse. It's a shame Aunt doesn't behave better. She and everyone else would enjoy life more if she did. And folks, that's the end of that story, but yeah.
My goodness.
She sucks.
Yeah.
She's the worst.
My friend committed a HIPAA violation against me. Now I want to report her.
That's illegal.
I, 23 female, blocked my longtime friend Alice, 23 female, of 10 years after she used her work computer to look up my health insurance information without my consent.
That's illegal.
The worst part is she took a photo of it, sent it through messages which her boyfriend of 1 year has access to.
That's illegal.
By the way, this comes from Sensitive Donut 720, and you can submit your own stories to the r/OKStorytime subreddit. And I'm Angie.
I'm Sophia.
And OP says, for some context, from my point of view, her boyfriend is leeching off of her. She's spent thousands of dollars on dates, including a motorcycle that was impounded by police because he didn't bother getting his license or permit.
Huh?
That's crazy. He has used her credit card to buy substances, has driven her car while intoxicated, and uses everything she owns, including her laptop, that he uses to read all of her private conversations.
What?
Get rid of this guy. I fear he is isolating her from everyone around her, and it's working. When I saw the photo, she laughed it off, and I was scared but pissed.
Yeah, I'd be like, sorry, why do you have this?
Yeah, what for? What's the reason that
I'd be
you're
like, oh,
taking
where'd
a
this
picture?
come from?
Right.
That's my personal
Huh?
medical information. How'd you get that?
I asked her why she would do that, and she said that she was just curious. I asked her how stupid she could be and not knowing what HIPAA was if she works at a doctor's clinic. She never responded and left me on read, I assume to run to our other friend, Bella. No real apology or accountability. After 2 weeks, I blocked her. I confided in Bella and Clara about the situation. Clara was incredibly understanding, not understanding what possessed Alice to do this. Bella, on the other hand, loves to play devil's advocate and has always had animosity towards me. Bella said that Alice only had good intentions and that she was only being, quote, playful and trying to connect with me as a friend.
What were the intent? I literally, if Bella said that to me, I'd be, what
Yeah.
are the intentions?
Because it wasn't even like it was sent to OP.
No.
Like it was
She just had that information. What was she gonna do? She's gonna be like, oh yeah, I really wanted to connect with you. And like they're hanging out one day. And she's like, yeah, I just love that you have a type O
right.
blood.
Like that. I just really wanted to get to know you and get to know.
I just think it's crazy that your family has a history of diabetes.
Right. Right.
Wow.
It's like, that's not what you do.
How is Bella? I literally would drop both of these people. I'd be like, how do you not see that? That is insane.
I found BS and explained that if Alice wanted to connect with me and she could have been an adult and communicated with me, asking for permission before risking her job, committing a HIPAA violation, and possibly leaking my information.
Again, that's not even a type of thing that you should be asking permission for. Like, it should never.
Yeah, it's like, why?
No, like the answer is always no.
Right.
you're not my doctor.
Like,
I'm not giving you permission. Like, that should never, like, Opie's like, she should have asked. No, she shouldn't have even asked.
Right.
Should never come up.
I told Bella, what if my social security number was on there? What if Alice's boyfriend saw it as an opportunity to take credit cards out in my name? Days passed and Bella wants to hang out. I agree, but informed her that I had blocked Alice and that we were no longer friends. I told her that she and Clara were welcome to stay friends with Alice, but that I wanted to hang out separately. Bella leaves me on read and doesn't reply for days. When she does, she responds along the lines of, I'm sorry that I hurt you, but that if you don't want my opinion, you should have said so, and next time I'll keep it to myself.
Your opinion was dumb. Please keep it to yourself.
It's clear we both have very different opinions about things.
Clearly, you have a dumb opinion.
Yeah, what?
You have opinions that are illegal.
Yeah. I don't know. It felt like she was pushing the blame back to me instead of taking accountability. This week, Clara and I were supposed to hang out. She flaked the first day, claiming that she took an extra shift, but then ghosted me completely the second time. After a few days, she apologized and asked if I'm free this weekend, and I said, depends. Have you heard from Bella? And she replied, yeah, I went out with her yesterday. Why? Did you want to do something with all of us together? I realized that Bella, who mentioned in her apology text that Clara mentioned a jewelry stand and that we should all go. Bella had gone with Clara to that same stand the day Clara and I were supposed to hang out. After Bella dropped Clara off, she texted me with the apology message. I've been trying to spend time with both, only to be ghosted and left behind. I feel like they used the opportunity to discuss things behind my back. Now I feel like I'm being iced out. I'm starting to feel like they're planning some intervention/ambush to get me to forgive Alice. The trust is gone and I feel hurt.
Alice hasn't even apologized.
Literally.
Like,
Literally.
you can't forgive her because she hasn't apologized for anything.
Yeah, she doesn't care.
She committed a crime.
Right. I've tried being honest and setting boundaries, but now I'm wondering if I'm being excluded for standing up for myself. Now I'm wondering, am I the a-hole for blocking Alice over this? And would I be the a-hole if I distanced myself from Bella and Clara too? Any thoughts? And there are some comments, but I want to hear your thoughts, Sophia.
No.
Yeah,
distance from anyone who supports people committing crimes against you.
Yeah, I feel like we're starting to realize that, you know, maybe we don't want to be friends with Clara or Bella either.
I agree.
Like, if not for all of the HIPAA stuff, but just for that, like, okay, like, you talked about plans that all three of us were originally going to go to, and then you blew off plans with me to go to that event that you all talked about going to, and then after that texted me, which obviously means that you guys were talking about me the whole time. And yeah, and then ghost me when I try to make other plans. It's like,
genuinely, like, these people are not your friends.
Yeah.
And I don't understand
exactly
what Alice's thought process was
I know.
by stealing your medical information.
I feel like we'll never find out.
Like, she's well-intentioned according to Bella.
What
were the intentions?
Just explain. Like, you're
like,
being
genuinely,
curious.
I don't understand. Like, what were your intentions?
Honestly.
What were you thinking?
But there are some comments. Proofreader 476 says, please report her to her workplace. She obviously has no idea about medical confidentiality and she is incredibly unprofessional. Opie says, already did through my insurance. There you go.
Nice.
We're reporting her. Club Glittering 6362 says, don't just rely on your insurance. Report her to her employer. Lady Reka says, HIPAA exists because of crap like your friend is pulling. I promise it's not just you. She's doing this too. I know everyone else said to report her to her work and the state, but I would also report federally. Yes, I know it's in shambles, but it can't hurt to report there too. Also, find a new friend group that's made up of actual adults and not a bunch of mean girls still stuck in middle school.
I'm just wondering if she did that to all of them.
Yeah, right?
Like did she take all of their medical information?
Because, like, for her, it was probably just some sort of silly, like, oh my gosh, I'm bored at work. Let's just, like, look up at my friends' things because, like, I know their name and I have access. But yeah, she probably did look it up of the other people too.
Yeah.
So, but there is an update 1 month later. There were a lot of questions, so here's some clarification. Update will be down below. So, why did she look up my information and take a photo? I have been dealing with health issues that are progressively getting worse, and I have no answers and had no decent doctor. I think she took it upon herself to try to help by looking up my health insurance information. When I asked why, she texted that she was curious. I know she had good intentions, but
I still don't understand the intentions.
I don't think she had good intentions. I mean, if the intentions were trying to help, it's like, you could have done that a different way besides,
could have
like,
said, hey, OP, do you
wondering.
want help
Yeah.
figuring out
Or just,
what
like-
insurance will cover this?
Yeah, like what's your health insurance? Like what insurance?
or that.
you
Or
know?
what's your health insurance?
Literally, like you don't have to look up because it's just stupid. It's so easy to do that. But now,
But now you've committed a crime.
yeah, come on, dude. I know she had good intentions, but I never gave her permission to look up my info or take a photo. If Alice had just asked me, I would have said no since I didn't want her jeopardizing her job. But also, if she would have only asked me, I would have let her know that I already had found a new doctor. And so, who did she send the photo to? That's another question. As far as I know, just me. But her boyfriend uses her laptop and basically everything she owns. Why would you send it to?
She sent it to OP?
That's crazy. Why? She knows.
OP?
She knows her info.
That's crazy to be like, hey, here's your medical information.
Yeah.
Hee hee. I know my medical information.
Literally. That's crazy.
Why do you know my medical information?
I believe he's read our conversations, which I had no clue until he brought up my health concerns that I confided in Alice, and has also sent me a few messages not clarifying that it was him. So it's just a random number. That's crazy.
He's like, hello. And Opie's like, who is this? You have diabetes that runs in your family.
Yeah.
You should go to this healthcare provider.
That's so
Who is
like
this?
weird. So there was a very real possibility he saw the photo. More info. My social security number was not in the photo. I only said, what if it was? Because if it was, it would have been more serious if my name, address, birthday, and health insurance information was on there. So now for the full update. After posting, I filed an official HIPAA complaint through the OCR website after many comments suggested it. I also reflected on this friend group and realized we had all been drifting apart for some time now.
Yeah.
Even before the incident, Alice and I were growing apart. Bella started showing more signs of animosity and resentment here and there. But Clara, we were actually growing closer, so when she started ghosting me, I was left hurt and confused. Later, Bella sent me a text inviting me to a group hangout with some of her friends, including Clara, but not Alice. I assume this was an intervention disguised as a hangout to maybe mend things between Alice, but I can't be for certain. I replied that while I appreciated the thought, I was not comfortable hanging out and did not like how some things were handled or said, especially since Bella tried shifting the blame to me when she texted me a quote apology beforehand. I also said that I needed space to reevaluate some things, but I told her to have fun and to stay safe. She replied, wishing me the best, but if I needed anything, she was going to be waiting for me while respecting my need for space. I haven't reached out since, but I've been thinking about it. Weeks passed, and I was still stuck on the situation. My sister-in-law got tired and finally asked me why I couldn't let it go. After taking some time to reflect on the reasons and my choices, I put my big girl pants on and made the decision to call. I called, got connected to the manager, and explained what happened. I offered to email the screenshots, and because of the small size of the clinic, they had to create a completely new email so I could send everything. The next day, I received an email explaining that the clinic would be starting investigation days earlier than they initially said. Days passed, and I received a conclusion email giving me their thanks for having the courage to report and what they did. They put Alice on leave and reviewed the logs for several days. They brought her in for an HR meeting and decided on training Alice with some HIPAA training and are putting in measures so that this will never happen again. I'm sure this is not the update many expected or hoped for. I did what many recommended, but the decision was ultimately up to the clinic. I hope this was a wake-up call for Alice. I haven't heard anything from Alice, Bella, and Clara ever since. My thoughts are that Alice made a stupid and careless mistake that nearly cost her job and ended our friendship. She's always had the habit of making careless mistakes without thinking or caring about the consequences until they came. As for her boyfriend, I don't know him that well, but I've seen red flags he's presented in person and from what Alice has told me. For why I didn't tell her, she's the type to not listen or make excuses about her relationship. Besides, I wouldn't be the first friend to drop her because of her behavior once she started dating her boyfriend. I also want to briefly say that when writing my original post, it was 4 a.m. and I was shaking with anxiety at the realization that I just lost my closest friends of a decade. I regret how messy it sounded with more gossip and ranting than actual facts of what happened, and I apologize for that. But you should never apologize for finding more full episodes of stories just like this one on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, or whatever your favorite podcast app is. Just search OK Storytime.
Do it.
But there's a little bit more to this story, but yeah, that sucks to lose friends that long.
Yes, absolutely. But,
Yeah.
you know, they aren't good friends, so
Exactly. It's like you'll be better off
without them.
Right. You'll learn how it is to be alone because if she's
Yeah.
23,
Yeah,
It's just they've been friends since 13.
You'll make new, better friends.
Yeah,
than
and
these people.
And I feel like that's just a good like thing to go through anyway, of just like, noticing that your friends aren't the best and then dealing with it and then being okay on your own, because then you'll meet future friends that aren't that good and be able to leave them easier.
Yeah, it's like you don't rely on these people.
Yeah, exactly.
In an unhealthy way.
Right. Yeah. So it sucks for sure, but you'll be okay. But there is a little bit more. I hope that this update shows that I actually took time to process things and approach it with more maturity than my first one. Thank you, everyone who responded to my original post with advice, support, and even criticism. I think the blunt comments calling me a doormat were the most helpful in helping me reflect about everything. I know it took me some time, but in the end, I called and got some closure. I think this whole situation pushed me to improve myself for the better, not just as a person, but to be a better friend to the future friends I'll meet. And that's the end of that story.
There
yeah,
you go.
exactly.
You got this, OP.
Yeah,
And
and
you're to recognize what a real friend looks like.
right. My best friend's boyfriend won't stop staring at me. I feel unnerved.
What are you looking at?
And trigger warning, this does mention substances and addiction. So this is a bit of a wild one, so please bear with me. I, 27 female, met my friend's new boyfriend, 31 male, this week. They matched on Hinge and have been in a honeymoon phase for about 2 weeks now. Along with a few friends, we met up at a cafe to meet him. He was quiet, which was understandable given the circumstances, but I kept catching him staring at me. Not a brief glance or even anything flirtatious, more just cold and a bit unrelenting.
Creepy.
I told myself I was overthinking things. She seemed so happy with him, and I wanted to trust that he was a good guy. By the way, this comes from Forward Complex 2931 on the Two Hot Takes subreddit, and you can submit your own stories to the r/OKStorytime subreddit. And I'm Angie.
I'm Sophia.
And OP says, since then, she's given him my number, and he's been texting me pretty frequently. He also tried to add me on Snapchat. I didn't add him back.
Yeah, don't.
He never says anything to make me feel uncomfortable, so for the next few days, I tried my best to accept this new friendship. That brings us to present, about 3 weeks in, and they're going camping. When they went to check into their cabin, the boyfriend couldn't provide his license. In fact, he confessed that he didn't have any form of ID at all.
That's suspicious.
It absolutely
That's
is.
weird.
You got nothing?
Got like a birth certificate? Do you exist?
So she had to check in for them. To her credit, she thought it was weird to have no identification at 31, but given the boyfriend's love bombing, he spent $1,000 on this trip alone, she was keen to overlook it. At this point, though, I couldn't ignore my gut feeling and decided to do some digging. Here's where things took a turn. First, I found his Instagram, which had no posts, mostly bot accounts following him. Eventually, I found his Facebook under a different name, along with a wedding registry between him and another woman from 2024. Uh-oh.
Is he married?
Uh-oh. Is he lying to you?
Is he lying?
I think he might be if he has no form of ID.
Dude, I'm wondering if he knows OP. You know, but OP doesn't
Oh.
remember him, and he's like, oh my god, I've seen OP. She knows I'm married or something.
She knows that I'm not who I say I am.
Yeah, but OP just doesn't recognize him.
Ooh.
That's my conspiracy theory.
That would be pretty crazy. While we knew he had an ex-fiance, all he said about his breakup was that she left him 6 months prior. On a whim, I decided to run both their names on a municipal and criminal case lookup. Turns out his ex-fiance is in jail, which is the real reason that they broke up.
Yeah, that's a good reason.
Yeah. He, on the other hand, has an outstanding court case along with multiple serious previous charges for a similar offense, with the most recent incident dated December of 2024.
Oh, dang.
So at this point, I'm panicking. No license, no form of identification, no real social media, active criminal charges, and I'm discovering all of this while she's camping in the woods alone with him.
That's terrifying.
That is absolutely terrifying.
That's terrifying.
They've only known each other 3 weeks.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh. I'm scared that if I tell her now while they're together, she will panic and he'll become aggressive. But if I say nothing, am I putting her in more danger? What do I do? And there are some comments, but oh my goodness, what
I
would
think
you do in this situation?
I'm driving up.
I would too.
I'm telling like everyone I know where I'm going.
Yeah.
And then I'm taking 3 people.
Yeah.
And I'm driving up and I'm taking her home.
Yeah, I would probably be like, oh my gosh, this is so crazy. I'm doing a family camping trip right by you guys.
You guys, oh,
No way.
No, you guys were here.
No way.
Honestly, I can just drive her home. It might just be easier that way.
Yeah, we've got some more space in here.
Yeah,
than
let me
you
let me
do.
just we'll carpool. You go that way.
Yeah. That's
Perfect.
crazy. And then break the news short.
Yeah.
But there are some comments. Comment number 1 says he is still in the love bombing stage and she hasn't questioned him. So if they have already left, sit on it until she gets back. Does she at least have cell service in case of an emergency? OP responds, she does have cell service, so we've been in constant contact. She questioned him about the license, and he gave her a pretty unconvincing story. I think she can sense something is off, but is trying to have a good time and not push him. If I were in her shoes, I would probably do the same. Someone else responds, she has some self-preservation skills. Hopefully, you won't even have to say anything, and she will end it when she gets back. Of course, you should still tell her because she needs to see that jumping into online dating too fast is dangerous. Someone else responds, exactly. Even if she has some self-preservation skills, she still might be underestimating the risk because she's in that honeymoon haze with him. You're right that OP should absolutely talk to her after the trip, but I'd also keep a closer eye on things in real time just in case. Sometimes a good time can flip on a dime when you're isolated with someone who's hiding major parts of their life. Comment number 2 says 2 different topics. His interest towards you, maybe. The glare, text messages, adding you on different social media, etc. Even if we don't know if they are flirtatious, but I wouldn't like if mine would do the same to my friends. But more importantly, his shady present / past. What were the charges for? Because if it's stealing an orange, well, still bad, but wouldn't be that concerning. And it might include your friend. Can you make an excuse and bring your friend back? Do you have a code word or a name for you two when you were dating that might mean alert or something? Could you call her and pick her up or someone trustworthy nearby? Even pretending someone in her family is sick or something.
I think you text her, no context. Your grandma's dying.
Yeah.
No context.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my God, you got it. And she's like, oh my God, my grandma. What?
Yeah.
What happened to my grandma? And
Yeah.
then you're like, sorry, I had to get you out of there.
Yeah, exactly.
And
Or
maybe she's
Oh my
upset.
God, there's a gas leak in your apartment.
There's a gat. Oh, that might be better.
You can't come
You're
in it.
being evicted
But
right
like
now.
you also have to come be here to fix it. But you can't go
can't
in
go
there 'cause
inside.
you'll,
There's a
you'll
gas
die.
leak.
But
Carbon monoxide in your apartment.
Yeah.
You can't go inside,
Can't
but
go
you
inside.
do have to come back.
right, exactly. OP responds, it was multiple serious substance charges. I guess we probably shouldn't go into the details, but they span roughly from 2014 to 2024. The only reason we haven't driven there, it's about a 4-hour drive for us, is because they're non-violent charges. No family or friends in that area, but since she drove him, weighing how to go about picking her up or staging an emergency. Luckily, we have her location. And there is an update. But okay, I mean, at least they're not violent charges.
Yeah,
That
that's
makes
true.
me a lot less worried.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, I mean, obviously, you still want to keep an eye on people. Definitely shouldn't
Yeah.
trust people that you've only known for 3 weeks.
I mean, I would probably still drive out.
Yeah,
Just because they've only known each other 3 weeks.
right.
And, you know, the ID, like, there's a bunch of already weird stuff going on.
Yeah.
She doesn't know about this.
Yeah, maybe just be there. So you just drive up and just kind of like hang around the area.
Just get a nice little, I don't know, day trip in.
Exactly. That's all. But there is an update. My friend is home and safe.
Yay!
Thank you so much to everyone for the advice regarding this admittedly insane situation. It's been a long 2 days, but what matters most is everyone is okay. Here's an update of what's happened since discovering my best friend's new boyfriend isn't who he said he was while they were camping alone together. Without knowing this person or how they would react to confrontation, we decided not to disclose the information while they were alone together. I know some may have handled this differently, but my friend had already confronted him about the lack of ID, and based on his response, we decided telling her posed more risk than waiting. Her anxiety would have led to another potentially worse confrontation. The trip was supposed to last 2 nights, but they cut it short after we staged a minor emergency that something came up and nobody could watch her cats.
Nice.
There you go. Yeah, no need to fret, but like maybe just a
maybe
little.
better than grandma.
Yeah, or a gas leak. Maybe they have better ideas than we
I
do.
guess so. I thought grandma was pretty good, but
Right.
whatever.
I think she could tell that something was off between the missing ID and our constant demands for signs of life because she agreed to come home without much pushback. We met her at her house the last night to debrief. She kept mentioning how she felt that she was missing something. He would disappear often, wouldn't give much detail about his ex or his breakup or his license, and always wore one of those compression sleeves on his arm. He also used language that made my friend uncomfortable. He refers to women as witches, uses the R word and the F word to describe queer people, of which we have several in our friend group.
I'm sorry. Those aren't just like, oh yeah, something was kind of off. Those are like blazing.
Yeah.
Blazing. We got to get out of here.
Right. It's like, I would be a little more than uncomfortable there.
Don't use the F slur in front of me just like
Dude.
flippantly. I'd be like, well, certainly not dating you.
Yeah.
No.
But then also too, like calling women.
Yeah,
like,
also that.
It's like
The 3 other things. Yeah.
all of it. Yeah. And honestly, it was reassuring to hear her question things. I was worried his constant love bombing would have made her deny the information we'd gathered, but her doubts gave us an opportunity to really dive in. We told her everything. We showed her receipts from the court cases, including his failure to appear, the not so old wedding registry, his fake social media accounts, his messages with me, even the charges against his ex-fiance. And once we laid it all out there, she did something that none of us expected. What do you think she's gonna do?
She sues him.
Sure, okay. I wouldn't expect that.
She sues him.
She sues him. Yeah, I think she's gonna try to just pull a big old prank on this guy. Or no, what she's gonna do is she's gonna be like, it's time to let you know I'm not who I said I was either. I'm the ex-fiance.
Oh, plot twist.
Plot twist. So she confronted
What?
him. That was not as exciting as I thought it
Yeah, boring.
via text message, but without hesitation, she demanded answers. And after hours of back and forth until like 1 a.m., he finally confessed, at the very least, the details that we could prove. Turns out his ex-fiance and him dated for 7 years before breaking up only 3 months ago. Oh, wow, when he said it was 6 months ago. When she was released from jail after rehab. She took the cat and left their apartment after getting clean. He'd always blamed the ex for taking his cat, but only said that she left him for no reason. He'd been a regular user for 10 years, hadn't sought inpatient rehab, but was currently in a 3-month outpatient program, like NA meetings. And finally, that he was planning to tell her all of this once, in his words, she loved him enough that these details didn't matter.
Yikes.
That's not how you do it, my guy.
No.
That's not how I go about it.
Honesty straight up.
Yeah, come on, man. He listed all the reasons why she should stay, mostly including the money he'd spent on her for the dates, which is $1,000. It was an emotional roller coaster, and we've got plenty more emotional roller coasters on iHeartRadio, Spotify, Apple Podcast, or whatever favorite podcast app you have. Just search OK Storytime. You're going to find full episodes with more stories just like this one. But there is a little bit more to the story. I mean, I guess we're getting some honesty.
Yeah.
I guess.
I mean, like crazy attempts to keep you there.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, dude.
I'm glad she knows, and I'm glad she's breaking it off.
Yeah.
That's all you can ask for.
Absolutely. There's a little bit more to the story. She has so far admitted that currently she isn't capable of taking on something as significant as his situation. But she did confess that deep down she wished she didn't know any of this information because he treated her so well, buying gifts for her friends, smothering her, complimenting her, etc. It's still unclear what more he's hiding. But for now, she's safe and seems to be taking everything seriously. Thank you again to everyone who helped us find the right way to bring her home. We will see where things go from here. Any additional advice is welcomed and appreciated. And P.S. None of this information is intended in any way to shame recovery. The lack of honesty and manipulation is the highlight, and to all of those who are in recovery, have recovered, and still struggle, you are valid, and this update is not intended to diminish those struggles. And that is the end of that story.
My boyfriend told me to leave if I ever wanted marriage. So I finally did.
Good for you. Good for you.
I, 44 female, live in a small town, population about 2,000. I've been dating my boyfriend, 52 male, for 8 years. We were at a holiday party in December with probably 200 guests. Someone asked when we were planning to get married. My boyfriend said, never. People continued to press the subject, so I said that neither of us wanted to get married currently, but if it changed, we'd be sure to let them know. By the way, this comes from user onlymeasurement3247, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OK Storytime subreddit. I'm Dakota.
I'm Keon.
I'm Carly.
And we're going to give good advice goofily, but we're not perfect, and we haven't experienced every single story. that we read. So if you've gone through something like this, let us know what you would do in the comments. OP says, my boyfriend then said, quote, if you ever change your mind about marriage, don't bother talking to me about it. Just move on and find a man who wants to marry you. Everyone was staring. I cried. We went home. He's brought it up a couple of times since then, but it's not really something I see a point in discussing. He's made it clear from day one that he doesn't want to get married, and I don't want to either. I wouldn't have said what he did in public, but it's the truth. The way he said it embarrassed me, and it hurt my feelings that he was so flippant about breaking up and going our separate ways after 8 years of being in love. But again, it's nothing I didn't know from private conversations, which is exactly what that should have been. Every Tuesday, we have dinner with friends at this Mexican restaurant. Last night at dinner, a guy that I know socially from living in the same small town walked up and said that he knew I was exclusively dating my boyfriend, but just wanted to say that I should call him if I ever decided that I wanted a serious relationship. Then he looked at my boyfriend and said, nothing personal, man. I know we go way back, but if she ever decides she wants more than casual dating, it would be over between you two anyway.
What is going on? I feel like I'm being punked.
What did he say wrong? Where did he lie?
No,
that guy
zero.
didn't lie at all, and he said it right to his face.
I like how this is always happening in like a public space.
Yeah. Well,
Like,
try that in a small town.
especially in a small town.
in
So
a small town.
that's gonna spread like wildfire.
Clearly, it already did. We're being confronted about it at dinner.
That's wild.
After we got home, my boyfriend was upset with me for not making it clear that we have more than a casual relationship. I told him that I wasn't the one that made our relationship status unclear, and if he felt something was misunderstood, he could have set things straight himself. And we have some relevant comments. Let's read some of them, shall we?
Mm-hmm.
Take the red leaf said, LMAO, the balls on that guy are genuinely impressive. I mean, are you interested? I kind of think you should be. LOL. Your boyfriend is temporary. This seems as good a jumping off a point as any. OP replies, he's good looking, successful, smart, funny, never married, no kids. Was a bit of a womanizer when he was younger, but he's made it pretty clear in the past few years that he's looking to settle down and get married. Checks a lot of boxes if a girl was looking to get married. I'm just not. And there is an update. And I do know of one relationship specifically where they just never got married. They have kids. They never got married. They never wanted to get married. Do we know why your partner, OP, doesn't want to get married? I think before we read it, my advice would just be like, just have a conversation with your partner. Get super clear and make it clear how you felt. Use like the I statements of like, I felt embarrassed just from the way you spoke about our relationship, like you could throw it away at any moment.
And also, if someone was saying that straight to your face at a restaurant and you didn't like stand up for that or be like,
Yeah.
that like there's got to be a major change in either your relationship or how you see things, because the fact that some guy who you know like apparently well enough to be hey brother, you're not treating her right enough. I'll fill that spot for you. I'll take that spot because you're not doing the right job.
Yeah, give her a business card.
And he's just having like,
call me.
He's having like the fajitas. He's like, oh, okay.
Yeah, like where was the like standing up and being like, actually we do have a serious relationship. We're just not getting married. Unfair to put that on her to say.
Yeah.
When you were also sitting right there. We do have an update. Let's get into it. 1 month later. After posting, I did a lot of reflection on our relationship. One day, I just packed what I had at his house and brought it all to my house while he was at work. When he came home, I told him that I had moved my things out and I wasn't going to be around anymore. I gave him his house key. My boyfriend feels blindsided by my moving out. He doesn't understand how we went from happy and peaceful to me moving out and living an hour plus away when essentially nothing changed. I still have feelings for him, but it wasn't nearly as painful as I expected it to be. I have too many hard feelings towards him for the way he treated me and my kids, especially in the beginning of our relationship, to try to salvage anything between us. And I most definitely have too much resentment towards his youngest son, 24 male, to ever consider working on things and trying to be anything that resembles a family with either of them. 8 years, and I packed everything I had there in 2 hours like I was never there. Whoa. Okay. I think
What happened?
we're about to get the lowdown on exactly where this is all coming from, but it sounds like y'all had way more issues than this conversation that happened at, a social function.
Yeah. This context came out of left field, and I feel like we're going to get the gist of that. What led up to this? Because that was a lot to unpack.
So, during the first couple of years, I did tell him how he made me feel, but his answer was always, "This is the deal, take it or leave it." It took 8 years, but I decided to leave it. I suppose at some point, I emotionally checked out of the relationship and just sort of let things be. Many of the issues have just sorted themselves out with time, but the underlying hurt is still raw. My house doesn't feel like home to me anymore. I've been staying with my children who are away from home attending college. I've completely moved out of my house and I officially put it on the market last Friday. For now, I'll just commute to work until I figure out what I want to do going forward. And there are some more comments. First, let me say I'm absolutely amazed by all your kind words and well wishes. I can't believe how kind and supportive you guys have been. I'll address a couple of the most common comments and questions. First, I guess the most popular is about the guy from the Mexican restaurant who just showed up and was
the guy
like,
who's like, if you're not going to do it for her, I'll do it for her.
"Here's my card, professional husband. Give me a call." I've spoken to him since, but it's not the fairy tale ending you guys are dreaming of. I'm definitely not in a place where I'm ready to date. I can't remember his exact words, but the gist was he'd be happy to take me out sometime, but he was just being annoying to my ex-boyfriend on purpose because of what he had said at the party and other things that he'd seen boyfriend do over the years. Very anticlimactic, I'm afraid. Although he does frequently work around where I'm living, so who knows what the future holds. Second, financial concerns. If you guys want to take back all your "I'm proud of you" comments, I understand. I really have no excuse for staying. I'm well educated. I earn a good living, well above 6 figures. I wasn't always, but I literally spent 20 years going back to school time and time again. For the past few years, I've made significantly more money than my ex-boyfriend. I really have no excuse for why I stayed so long. If I could touch on that, it becomes intoxicating when we let life happen to us because it simplifies a lot of stuff. When you don't feel the need
The change.
to exert your will upon the world around you, everything gets easier to comprehend.
It's just, you settled. You settled and you're just like, I'm okay where I'm at.
Right. You just convince yourself or whatever. But it's like, growth mindset is so important. Growth mindset versus a stagnant mindset, where it's like the things that I do and the things that I think and the things that I want all matter, and I can take active steps to further get to them and change the things around me to be better. That's a growth mindset. The stagnation mindset is it's like, there's nothing I can do. It is what it is. It's good enough, I guess.
Yeah.
It could always be worse. It's like and then that contributes to this. You're in this relationship for 8 years for no reason, apparently. Final comments. Thinks Ying says, honestly, the fact that you guys have been dating for 8 years and it took you less than 2 hours to pack is very telling. This guy did not give you space or respect in his life. That's such a good point. I didn't really even think of that. I just thought OP might have been really good at packing.
Yeah.
But it's like
8
2 hours,
years,
you got everything.
2 hours into 8 years. Yeah.
I always maintained my own home in town, and I honestly loved the house I bought for my college-age kids. I moved all of my life treasures there when I bought it. Okay, so all of OP's life is in this other house that her kids are in right now.
Yeah.
I had mostly just clothes and toiletries at his place. My mail didn't even come to his house. By the way, you can listen to full episodes with stories like this on your favorite podcast platform. Just search OK Storytime wherever you listen to podcasts, and you can have the full archive available to listen to whenever you want. 503B says, and I most definitely have too much resentment towards his youngest son. The comment about the youngest son, give me some info about that, please. OP says, my husband passed away. I was a single mom. Boyfriend's youngest was 17 when we introduced our kids. He hated me and my children and did anything he could think of to cause us misery. I can't think of everything, but if we were planning to go out to dinner and invited him, sometimes he'd refuse to come. Like, he'd say that he'd have dinner with his dad only, and if his dad said, okay, let's have dinner just us tomorrow, he'd start with the guilt until boyfriend broke our plans. Last time he did that, he was 20 or 21, so definitely not a kid. One year he threw a fit at Christmas because he got wind that his dad had got my kids a few things. I bought stuff for him and his older brother as well. He was 19 at the time. Boyfriend returned the stuff he got my kids and told me to do the same. Said from then on, we'd each only buy for our own kids. That's not very sustainable. For his 21st birthday, he had a party at a restaurant on a day I got off late. He told them one less person than needed when he made the reservation, so when I arrived, there was no place for me to sit. We went on a vacation that I paid for and invited him on, and he threw a fit because his dad was paying attention to everyone. He insisted that he was leaving if boyfriend didn't leave the Airbnb I rented and rent them their own hotel room and not see us until the end of the trip, which boyfriend did. We didn't see each other until we got home. Thank goodness my son had driven his car because my daughter and I had rode with boyfriend. He would randomly call and tell his dad he wanted to hang out at his house for a bit, but wanted me and my kids to leave. Boyfriend told us to go out to dinner or something, and he'd text when we could come back. I'm ashamed to say I did once, before I put my foot down and told boyfriend if we left, we wouldn't be coming back. Probably a dozen or more times after that, he still called and tried and threatened to never speak to boyfriend again. Probably more stuff, but you get the idea. That's complex, but that's the end of that story.
My mother-in-law wants to be in the delivery room. I said no way.
You don't need to be there.
I, 23 female, I'm having a baby soon.
Woohoo!
I'm about 32 weeks pregnant and can't wait for my little bundle of joy with me and my fiance, 26 male. By the way, this comes from Harry Dixon Cider on the OK Storytime subreddit. So here's the tea. My mother-in-law asked my fiance if she could be in the room with me when I go to give birth. This would be the first grandchild on either side of the family. I'm the oldest child in my family and he's the youngest and only boy. And none of his sisters are even thinking about marriage, kids, family, etc. They're more career focused. Of course, there's nothing wrong with that, but it seems like because of this, she's putting her time and attention on the two of us and our relationship because she wants grandchildren. Oh yeah, and our child is also a boy. Here are my reasonings for not having her in the room. 1, I don't think I would feel comfortable with her there. Giving birth is a very vulnerable position, and if I'm allowed 2 people with me, I would prefer, of course, my fiance and my mother. I'm close to my mom. I know she will advocate for my health. She's also a nurse, and she has had 5 children, and she's my mom, and at some point in my life has seen all parts of me. 2, his mom has a tendency to have things go wrong when it comes to attention being put on the two of us. Mother-in-law has on several occasions had incidents where she needed to be taken to the hospital or the ER if we were doing something. Thankfully, my fiance and I hadn't left yet, and his grandmother came running out of the house saying she was unconscious. He went in to check on her, the ambulance was called, and she spent 3 days in the hospital after that. I know it could be a coincidence, but this has happened more than once, to the point where she has finally accepted that this medicine she has to take has to be regulated by his sister. 3, she is purposely taking money from him. At the beginning of June, after we had moved out into an apartment on our own in April, she changed the grandmother's banking information at the beginning of the month, and the social security check could not get to her. My fiance is on the mortgage for the family home. There is a whole backstory of why, but that isn't entirely important here, to which he has had to pay the mortgage for 3 months. Every time he asks what's going on with the social security check, there's always a different excuse. Oh, the office was closed. Oh, I don't feel good. Oh, I'll call you back later about it. Both of us are working and we both pay equal for the bills in our apartment, but we're going to need all income when the baby is here, since we will need to take care of hospital bills, baby formula to supplement feeding, diapers, etc. Yes, I have thought about getting on WIC, which is a supplement to help new mothers, to help ease these issues, but it does not solve the problem of his mother forcing him to pay the mortgage. She has also on several occasions asked him to do a HELOC loan to allow her to pay for her debts and catch up on the bills that she let get behind. But at the same time, keeps telling him, if you weren't ready to move out, then why did you leave? It wasn't that he wasn't ready. Our bills are paid. Our cars did not get repoed. Our child has the stuff he needs before he even gets here. together. We have plenty of food. We are financially stable. I'm still working and will continue to until I get on maternity leave, which is already planned out. Note, she does not have a job, was in debt until she won at a casino and fixed her issues. Well, some of them. She still owes on her car and gets disability because she can't work. So she's blaming them for not being able to afford things, but it seems like they just can't afford to pay for her life.
Right. I mean, she's gambling at casinos with her money and stuff. She apparently fixed her issues, so
she's like, don't worry about it.
but
I'll be back there next week, but don't worry about it.
Right.
4, I do not want her to feel entitled to taking care of our child. I don't think she's physically capable of helping me take care of myself or my baby in the L&D room, let alone when I'm cleared to go home with our son. She has proven that she can't walk without help, has injured both of her arms, and isn't physically stable. I will not allow for the baby to be put in danger. Another note. Yes, my fiance is agreeing with me on not having his mother to take care of the baby until she can prove she is capable, as he has told her. And both of us work opposite schedules with 0 overlap. One works, comes home, and the other goes into work. We will not need a babysitter unless we want to spend some time alone together. 5, finally, she has made unnecessary indirect comments about me. He called her one day to talk to her and was telling her about what he was making for dinner. My fiance usually makes dinner for us when he's off work or when he feels like it because he knows how hard it is for me to work from 5 a.m. to 1 p.m. Wow. While being heavily pregnant and on my feet all day at work. I do all of the cleaning in the apartment. This has a lot to do with nesting and me being a neat freak. He called her to ask about a recipe and her response was, "Why are you doing all the cooking? You're working full-time and going to school. I just don't want my son to get sick." At the time of this conversation, he was still taking online college courses. He has since graduated. But she made it seem as though I was not doing anything at all, even though I am full-time carrying a child. That physically, mentally, and emotionally takes a lot out of me. But it wouldn't take a lot of you to join us live every weekday at 3 p.m. PST on YouTube, Facebook, and TikTok. Just tap our profile.
Just tap it.
And there is a little bit more, but I don't even think you need to like give us all of these, not excuses, but like all of these reasons why.
Yeah.
It can just be you don't want her in there.
True.
You're pushing out the baby.
Right.
Then you could only have 2 people in there.
Yeah. Like that's a very exhausting and invasive and vulnerable time for you.
It
You
can
don't have to
literally
have anyone in there that you don't want to.
Exactly. It can literally just be like her vibes.
Yeah.
Her vibes are
it's just
off.
like, no, I just want like my husband, my mom.
That's it.
That's fine.
No, I literally think like obviously all of those other reasons are important.
Sure.
But I think just the fact that you just want your mom and your fiance in there is
Yeah.
also a fair enough reason. And
Yeah.
if she gets mad at that, who cares? Anyone who has been pregnant knows what I'm talking about. Anyone who hasn't, I can promise you pregnancy is not for the weak. I don't know what she thinks I'm doing all day, but I do contribute a lot to the family that we are building by making one of the members, working full-time still at 32 weeks, cleaning up the apartment, and of course, being my fiance's emotional support and working with him as a team for everything he needs me to. All that being said, I don't know if I don't want her there out of resentment I may have, or if I'm valid in my thought. And that is the end of that story. But again, whether it's resentment or valid concerns, honestly, they're all valid anyway. You could just hate her.
Right.
That's okay. Maybe you don't, but
yeah, I agree. There's both are fine. Like you're valid in everything you said, but yeah, even if you are if you do just resent her, like you can deal with that later, you know?
Yeah, that's for after the baby comes.
Exactly.
But that is the end of that story.
I refuse to eat a Thanksgiving dish because I suspect it was made last year. Long-time lurker, first-time poster, but I'm so baffled at that situation, I need a non-biased perspective. My husband and I, 30-ish, have a quite large family. His parents, his 2 siblings, plus spouses and kids, my divorced parents and their new spouses, plus my siblings and their spouses and kids. By the way...
Now you're just trying to make them regret it. Tell me, did that come out organically?
I'm drinking.
Did you mean to do that? Because that was amazing.
I'm not mean to.
Now you're like, fine, you guys want one more story? Here we go. I'm doing it in burps.
By the way, this comes from the Unimermaid on our side. Okay, story time. Subreddit. So, altogether, we are well over 20 people, so family gatherings can be overwhelming for the person hosting. And yes, my divorced parents and their new spouses get along fine, so there's no drama. Well, last night we celebrated Thanksgiving, and as a family tradition, everyone brings a dish. Usually, we communicate with each other, so that way everyone is making different types of food. My sister-in-law, wife of my brother, said that she would was going to bring her mom's favorite sweet casserole. I thought it was very nice of her since her mom passed away this year and she was honoring her memory by making her recipe. However, once I saw her dish, I truly think she brought last year's leftovers. Instead of big pan, she brought several small and medium containers of sweet potato casserole. Although it did not smell weird, it was very dry and didn't look like a regular one. I didn't try it and discreetly told my husband my concerns, who also did not try it. And once Thanksgiving was over, my mother called me saying that my sister-in-law was upset because she noticed I didn't try her dish. I told my mother about my fears, and she said that I'm just too picky with food, and there's no way a frozen casserole could last a year without having mold.
I see you. I think we all know. We've all done this, right?
What? Taking a year-old frozen
No. Not taking a year, but you take the mold and you just go.
You scrape it off?
Sometimes.
And also,
which
if something's
honestly,
in the freezer, you could eat it for like a year.
I didn't learn until much later in my life that the mold grows from within. And that's just what you can see, and there's more stuff on the inside. So if something's moldy, just don't eat it.
What?
Did you just learn that too?
That's true. No, that's true, because if there's any mold on bread, you can't cut around it because it's infected the whole thing.
Yeah, it's inside the loaf.
Mm-hmm.
I think Sam just learned that.
I freaking told you that so many times,
filled
Sam.
with mold.
I told Sam that so many times.
We're gonna have to call the mold men again.
The mold men need to purge my body. So
We're putting you in the mold shack.
I'm just too picky with food, and there's no way frozen casserole could last a year without mold. I pointed that several containers could mean she cut the good parts and left the moldy ones. And as we all learned together just now, the mold has probably permeated. After an awkward silence, we agreed to disagree and hang up. I feel bad for my sister-in-law, but I truly could not bring myself to eat something I am not 100% sure is safe. So am I the a-hole? What do you think?
No, dude.
Don't eat that mold.
That's a year-old frozen casserole that they did not know how to burn or not know how to cook.
Bujo Momo says, not the a-hole. Let's say for the argument's sake that the casserole was made yesterday on Thanksgiving. If you just decided you didn't want sweet potato casserole, you'd still be in this situation and you'd still be justified in not eating it. Either way, the person who made the dish should not be closely moderating who took some. That's very strange. Eat what you want to eat at these types of gatherings.
Pause. It's not all foods. It's bread. Socrates says that's the case for bread, but not all food. So if you've got moldy bread, don't eat the moldy bread. But
my example was bread, so I'm still correct.
Yeah, I guess it's anything bread-ish.
Enough Process 9773 says, not the a-hole. The whole point of a big meal with multiple dishes is you don't have to eat for every dish. If you don't want to, reasons for not doing so do not need to be given. And Pizza Sauce 85 says, yesterday I had rolls, stuffing, sweet potato casserole, pecan pie, pumpkin pie, apple pie, green bean casserole, orange jello salad, turkey, ham, water, Coke, broccoli, cheese, rice, and mashed potatoes. I did not eat any tofurkey, cheesy peas, vegetarian stuffing, banana pudding, chips with dip, baked beans, ice cream, sweet tea, unsweetened rolls, lemonade, mac and cheese, Hawaiian rolls, and a few other sides. I can't recall. No one said a thing to me about what I didn't eat. Judgment, not the a-hole.
Sounds like a poem, but I
think
can't
you
remember
missed
which
some.
one.
You know what it sounds like?
It sounds like the Tigger
It's
song.
Fairly Odd Pair.
Oh, yes, that's exactly.
Oh, you're right.
Yes, that's exactly what I was
Yeah,
thinking
you're
of.
right. You're right. You're right.
Yeah.
What is it?
Rubber goose,
An
small
average
goose.
kid, and
They
no
don't
one
want it.
understands. Mom and Dad and Vicky always giving him to man. Bad twerp. Doom and
Taylor
gloom in his room. Everywhere is that reality. They are his godparents, fairly odd parents, wands and wings for the crowdy things. Odd parents, fairly odd parents. Green
food, guava juice, birthday cake, large fries, chocolate shake. Okay. Our brains are rotten.
That was, yeah.
Rotten with the roots of mold.
I love how Sophia was like, yes, I believe that was a poem that I read. Yes, reminds me of a poem. I don't know if I'm a literature major.
It reminds me of a poem. I believe the author was Turner.
So, update a few hours later. After spending my whole morning reading and answering your comments, I decided to pass by my mother's house and have an in-person talk with her. I read her some of the comments on the original post, and she thinks the internet is a strange place. We agreed I can always come and tell her what I think truthfully. She has not talked to anyone else in the family about the yam debacle. We decided to call my brother and ask if we can go to his house and have a talk with him and my sister-in-law. He said to brace ourselves.
He said, he's a little horse.
And come with
a
an
little
open
water
mind.
horse.
When we got there, my sister-in-law started crying uncontrollably, and my brother took us to the kitchen, which was a mess. Long story short, they were indeed leftovers, just not a year old.
Okay.
I
How
guess
old?
sometime before her passing, sister-in-law and her mom made several family recipes as a bonding experience. The casserole was one of the staple recipes, and my sister-in-law had froze several containers of it. On Thanksgiving week, she thawed some of it and tried to replicate the taste, but without luck. I guess the pressure of making it for us got the best of her, and she got more and more frustrated as the date approached. On Thursday, she finally gave up and decided to just reheat the one she had frozen. As to why my sister-in-law noticed that I didn't eat her dish, apparently in prior years, I complimented the casserole as this is the best one I've ever tried. So this year she was expecting some comment and was sad when I didn't even try it. I apologized and told her I was really sorry that I hurt her feelings. She apologized for singling me out. We told her to rest, and in the meantime, me, my mother, and brother, we cleaned the kitchen, tidied the house, and mom made her a soup. Agiaco. If you know, you know. My mom decided to stay, but I left a bit after everything was done and everyone was calm. As a goodwill gesture, I'm getting my sister-in-law a mini spa day that I think she will enjoy and help her feel better. So that's pretty much it. No big fight, no big dramatic scene. Sorry, not sorry. Thank you all for your opinions. I will be more thoughtful of people's feelings, but I will still not eat something I don't want to just to please someone. No reports that anyone got sick, by the way. By the way, you will never get sick of us if you join us live every weekday, 3 p.m. PST on YouTube and Facebook. Just tap our profile. We're probably live right now. Lastly, does my mother think frozen food can get moldy? Well, she claims she said it in the heat of the moment, and because I was annoying her, she knows cooking is not my forte, so she thought I had no good comeback to that. I opened her freezer, and there's only meat and ice cream, so who knows at this point? And that is where this story
And we have a couple donations.
and this stream ends. We're going to read a couple donos.
Yes.
Wait, we need a take. Would you eat the casserole?
I would eat a little bit if it made someone happy. Not if it's a year
That's
old.
actually a good take.
I tried to address my nephew's behavior, but my family continues to ignore it.
Well, that's more like avoid it, but you know what I mean.
So, my nephew, which is 4 by the time I'm posting this, and his mom and dad, my older sister and brother-in-law, moved to the US from South America about 8 months ago, and they're currently living with us. My mom had to go to the US by herself, leaving my then 13-year-old sister alone in South America. By the way, this comes from user SolidFly9820, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OK Storytime subreddit. So, on February 14th, 2023, my sister, brother-in-law, and nephew all came to the US. At first, I was happy about it, but then things quickly started to change. Soon, my sister, brother-in-law, and dad had to go to work, leaving me, my mom, and my spoiled nephew at home. I was supposed to be at school, but since I was being homeschooled due to health reasons, I would stay home. My nephew was also supposed to be at daycare, but he somehow got traumatized due to them not letting him have much screen time and making him take naps.
Where's my Coco Melon Clips channel iPad?
You know, it's crazy. Nap time sounds so good.
I wish I could go back and just like naps.
Yep.
I love naps.
Nap times and eating well and going to bed early are luxuries now.
Me and my mom had to babysit my nephew until my brother-in-law came back from work. At first, I was like, sure, I don't mind. But then my nephew's personality really started to change. He became more into his iPad. Basically, he turned into an iPad kid. He would attack his mom and dad, scream at my mom, and steal my stuff. I kept bringing it up to my mom, and she said, he's just a little kid. He doesn't know what's right and what's wrong. Next, I told my dad, and he said, just to ignore my nephew. I tried following both their advice, but my nephew would just get away with what he was doing. I tried telling my sister, and she said the same thing as my mom. My brother-in-law gave the same answer. At this point, it was hopeless asking them for help. So, I just dealt with it. Then yesterday, my nephew threw the biggest tantrum I ever saw him throw. Since I'm homeschooled for now, a teacher from my school comes by every week to give me homework that I have to complete. Then, as a belated Christmas present, my teacher gave me some puzzle art. My nephew immediately laid eyes on it and said, "For me? For Liam?" Liam is my nephew's name. And I said that not everything he sees belongs to him. After my teacher left, I started to work on the puzzle. 20 minutes later, my brother-in-law came back from work. I had finished making the puzzle art. I went to show it to my mom, and my nephew was like, "Let me see, let me see." When I told him to wait for his turn to see, he completely freaked out. He kept screaming, "Give it back! It's mine!" Can you imagine if he sounded like that?
Yeah, he just
"Give it back! It's mine!" My brother-in-law noticed and told him, "Why would you behave like this? Now you don't get your iPad back." My nephew had too much screen time, so to reduce his screen time, my brother-in-law took his iPad with him. After my brother-in-law said those words, my nephew turned red, screaming, while throwing everything in his way to the floor. This wasn't the only time my nephew had one of his explosive temper tantrums. However, one time, on my most recent birthday, December 5th, I was going to blow my candles. However, my nephew kept insisting my parents to let him blow out my candles first. They obviously said no. My nephew started to cry, so they relit one candle. However, my nephew wanted to blow out all of the candles. When he didn't get what he wanted, he felt like a T-Rex entered the room. Once my nephew calmed down, I started to cut the cake. However, my nephew freaked out again. He was crying, his face turned red, and he was screaming, "You broke the cake! The cake is broken!" In the end, they let my nephew pick all the activities we were supposed to do on my birthday. So, am I the a-hole for telling my family that my nephew behaves like a spoiled brat?
No, I think actually the family's probably a-hole for not getting him some kind of screening done, because honestly, him saying that the cake is broken and freaking out really sends up a red flag for me that there might be some sort of like cognitive, like there's something going on there. Whether it's, I mean, I couldn't say, but it's like, it seems like that's a very particular like thing to get upset about. Like most kids are like, "Oh, the cake, I want to eat it," but this kid's like, "The cake is broken." And it's like, I've never heard of a kid reacting that way.
I'm just trying to think, if he was able to cut the cake, like, oh, if they guided him like cutting the cake, would he have been like, "Hee, this is so fun"?
Maybe.
I don't know, but that's one thing. I think giving your kids too much screen time is not healthy for you.
Facts.
That's the first big thing. I get it. No one's there to really take, like, I don't know, because the mom's there. The mom, like, grandma can take care of the kid, right, for a little bit. I know OP's doing their school stuff, so not really, but a nanny, someone has to take care of the kid and give this kid more attention, or like take him to a park rather than leave him inside with an iPad, because him becoming an iPad kid at 4 years old is really way too young.
Yeah.
But we have an update. So, first of all, I'll be clearing up some things I said that people didn't seem to understand. I said my nephew behaved like a spoiled brat, not that he is a spoiled brat. I don't hate my nephew. The most I said was that he couldn't have everything he likes for himself. And I agree that my nephew's parents are neglecting him.
And like, you can call a kid a brat and not hate them.
Yeah.
Bro,
There's
dude,
4, dude.
Dude, just one
There's 4.
one call to CPS and this isn't a problem. Okay?
Oh my God.
Hey, if it's bothering you that much, OP,
When
give
you're
me
in the
solutions.
producer
Do
chair,
not do that.
You are evil.
You get violent.
They stopped taking him to daycare just because he didn't want to go. Then they give him screen time when he misbehaves or when he's about to misbehave. And every time I tell them about my nephew breaking into my room and taking something he likes, they just brush it off and say, "He's just a little kid.
He's just a widow.
He doesn't know any better."
He's just a widow.
How do I explain this? Just because he's a little kid, that doesn't justify him screaming at the top of his lungs when he doesn't get what he wants, nor justifies him breaking into my room and taking something without my permission, nor does it make it okay for him to hit me or my mom or my dad or anyone else. Think about it. If they keep getting by with the excuse he's just a little kid, when he turns 5, 6, 7, 8, etc., they're gonna let him get away with anything, even if he steals money from someone else.
I mean, you know what? Maybe this kid has actually figured out the cheat code of life. If you just never stop being an iPad kid and you just scream and cry and throw tantrums, maybe you just get what you want forever. Like, maybe I can walk into a Lamborghini dealership and scream and cry until they give me a Gallardo and tell me to leave.
I would love to see that. still with the mentality of he's just a little kid. My nephew's parents, my older sister and brother-in-law, are acting like Caillou's parents, never telling their child that his actions have consequences and to say sorry.
As true. Caillou Caillou's a monster. This is a Caillou child.
Caillou.
I'm Caillou. That's mine.
Yeah. That's going to severely affect my nephew when he gets older and when he tries to find his friends. Exactly. No, he's not going to have any friends,
Dude,
because he's going to
He
just
doesn't
run
need
off.
friends. They have AI apps. You can just give him that. Like, here's an AI friend there.
Dude, that's actually horrifying how accurate that is. I don't like
That's sad. That's
Where
really
we're
sad.
headed.
The world's a great
We're
place.
heading
okay?
that way.
And we don't want that.
Oh, no.
If he does something wrong to his friend or friends, like stealing something that belongs to his friend, etc., he's not going to apologize for his behavior, since his parents never taught him to. That will in turn make him lose friends instead of gaining more. Sorry about the huge rant. I just needed to clarify that. I tried talking to a therapist about my nephew's behavior and how I don't like his entitlement and how his parents don't pay attention to him, and how she said the same thing that a comment said. My nephew isn't my responsibility to take care of. It's his parents' responsibility to teach him, not mine or my mom's and dad's. I'm only 12.
About 12.
They,
I'm only
what?
12. Why
They're
is-
only 12?
About 12 of them.
Yeah.
This is a 12-year-old?
Yeah, I thought we were
What?
supposed to get
Wait a minute. Wait. No. Wait. What? No, wait a minute. Hold
This
on.
is
What?
a 12-year-old
Hold on,
writing
wait, what?
this? Bro. Go, OP.
It's a well-spoken 12-year-old.
This is a very well-spoken
You're
12-year-old.
a well-spoken 12-year-old.
I'm only 12, so I can't take him out of the house, to the park, or somewhere else by myself. It's also winter, full of snow where I live, and my mom's car can't start up due to the freezing temperatures. The most I can do for my nephew for now is spending time with him. I tried multiple times spending time with him, either by reading books, doing a puzzle with him, building his building blocks, playing with both our plushies, drawing, coloring, singing, dancing, even trying to watch a movie with him. None of those activities worked. He's just glued to his screen. This is a result of his parents raising him with an iPad as a parent. I even tried asking my mom if I could play and spend time with him, and she said, let him enjoy his screen time. He's on it the whole dang time. I didn't actually say that to my mom, or I would have gotten grounded, but I just said it in my mind. A while after my sister and dad arrived from work, I asked my sister if I could play with my nephew. And this time, since my nephew wasn't using his iPad finally, she said, yeah. The whole time I was playing with my nephew, my brother-in-law kept staring at me like I was going to hurt my nephew or something. Bro, I'm just playing with your child. Those were the things I wanted to clarify. Now, here's the update part. So, I decided to not take much responsibility for my nephew. You're 12 years old. You shouldn't be taking
You
responsibility
shouldn't
for your
have
nephew.
any responsibilities, dude. You're 12.
Sure, he's my nephew, and I'm his aunt, but I'm also not his mom. I don't have to be responsible if he does something to himself. I can't teach him what's right and what's wrong, nor am I responsible if he throws a tantrum just because he wants something I have. He's my sister's and brother-in-law's child, not mine.
So, really quick, I'm going to be maybe... I hope this isn't controversial, but OP being a girl makes the eloquence make a lot more sense at 12 years old.
Oh, yeah, me at 12 years old, I was like,
Yeah. I'm
Pretty
like,
much.
this kid sucks. I don't like him. Like,
Yeah.
but this is like, it just makes, it clicks. That makes sense.
if my nephew did something to himself, why should I take the blame when I didn't do anything? When he throws a tantrum, when he doesn't get what he wants, why should I take the blame when I didn't do anything? It's like a horrid Henry situation. Henry gets blamed for everything, Perfect Peter doesn't, even when it is Peter's fault. I should have watched my nephew? I did. How the heck am I supposed to stop him when he's about to do or doing something wrong when words don't work and he pushes anyone and anything that won't let him do what he wants? I should have given XYZ to my nephew? Maybe I would have given or let him borrow it if he had asked nicely and didn't just throw a tantrum when he got caught taking something out of my room without my permission. I can't even call his parents when my nephew misbehaves because my mom says, oh, it'll worry them. Well, it's supposed to. Oh, I'm alerting you that your spawn is misbehaving and that you should worry that if you don't fix this, your child is going to have problems when he's older. After all, it's his parents who raised him to be this way, not me. The only thing I wanted to be, and was to him, was a playmate or someone to play with. The most I ever did in teaching him was telling him not to hit other people. But since I see that none of my nephew's parents want me to teach or do anything related to him, I don't have to take responsibility for their child. You raise your child to be this way, not me. I tried offering you help, which I actually told them that their child misbehaves, but they either responded with, he's just a kid, or they just listen with an annoyed face. But if you don't want to hear the off-key notes of your music, take constructive criticism from someone who babysits your child 24/7. I can't help you. This is not a 12-year-old.
There's the lawyer princess has a perfect comment, which is it makes it worse on the parents because they're blaming a 12-year-old for their child's behavior. And also on the flip side, OP
This
can
12-year-old
chill
This 12-year-old
because
me out of the water.
I don't think OP understands at 12 what a 4-year-old is. A 4-year-old is simultaneously one of the cutest things ever and an absolute monster from outer space.
I mean, sometimes kids can have those episodes, and that's fine. That's a kid being a kid. They're not going to be perfect sweet angels 24/7.
The iPad's not helping.
But the iPad's not helping. And you know what's not helping here? None of the adults.
Right.
All the adults are just brushing whatever pretty much onto OP and letting the child just be a demon.
This is the amount of accountability the parents are taking.
Yeah.
For their child's behavior.
I might post more updates if more comes up. And guess what? More has come up. So we're going to go straight into it.
Let's go.
Some stuff happened today regarding to my nephew and his parents, specifically my older sister. So while I was talking to my mom about my nephew misbehaving, him breaking into my room and taking stuff without my permission, and him hitting other people, etc., my sister happened to hear our conversation and asked if she could talk to me. I said, sure, and she pulled me aside to talk. Then I told her how her son wasn't behaving well, how he kept taking my stuff out of my room without my permission, how they always let him buy whatever he wants. I'm not kidding. Just a few days ago, as I was at the store with my mom, and my nephew wanted everything in the toy section and ended up getting a Squidward plush and a SpongeBob-themed ukulele, both of those now thrown onto the floor. How both her and her husband let him use devices, phone, TV, iPad, when he starts misbehaving, how they have no discipline towards him, basically almost everything that my nephew did, and how it made me feel. My sister listened quietly, and when I was done expressing how I felt, every time she and her husband went to work and my nephew stayed with my mom, she said that my nephew would go to daycare this week going forward. I told her that going to daycare was the best for him, since he'll get to interact with other kids his age and actually learn instead of just being glued to a screen all day. And she agreed, but she still kept the excuse. He's just a little kid. He doesn't know any better. When I told him about him screaming when he doesn't get what he wants, in a way, I kind of understood him being a little kid and not knowing how to reason. By the way, I want you to reason with us, right? You can listen to full episodes with stories just like this. Just go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or any of your favorite podcast app and search OK Storytime.
Really quick. Yeah, he doesn't know better because he's 4.
He's 4 years
but
old.
You need to start teaching him to know better because he's 4.
Yeah, he needs to.
If this
he
was
needs
an
to learn.
infant, it'd be different. If he was 4 months old, crying and screaming and pooping his pants, it'd be like, well, he's a 4-month-old infant. You can't really teach the infant.
He's 4 years
anything.
old. He can form sentences, and he at least can learn.
That was my point. You just brought it back. It's like he doesn't know any better. Yeah, freaking right. He has learned that he can get what he wants when he behaves this way. So he has learned.
Yeah.
He knows exactly what to do to get what he wants.
This is ridiculous. It's fine. I don't know what clicked for the sister. Because, again, OP's gone to her sister and countless times like, your son is not okay. He's misbehaving, and you are just letting him misbehave. And like, no, he's just a child. But then she overheard you having a conversation with your mom and was like, oh, it's serious? I don't know what like clicked in her brain. I'm happy something finally clicked. And they're like, okay, we'll take him to daycare. But the excuse of he's just a child is definitely going to wear out very soon, like you said. But go ahead and finish the story.
Let's go.
However, what mind boggles me is if he's just a little kid, how does he even know what hitting means and how to hit?
Oh, you learned how to hit it too.
He even said one time, you hit me, I hit you. I'm not joking. He actually said that.
Hammurabi.
The part of her still hanging on to that excuse ticked me off a bit. But overall, I was still glad that my nephew wouldn't have to be my responsibility anymore. As I said in my last update, I'm not his mom to raise or teach him. I'm his aunt. So, yeah, that's the update I have for now. Thank you so much for all the support and your comments. They made me realize that my nephew wasn't my responsibility to take care of, and that his parents are the ones who need to teach and take care of him. Once again, I'll post more updates if something comes up. And that, the end of that story.
My friends demanded I chauffeur them around, so I got intoxicated on purpose.
That's a loophole.
I am so frustrated right now. 27 female, attended a friend's wedding this weekend in a major city 4 hours from where I live. I stayed with my friend M, 31 male, who will now be Marty, who happened to move from where I live to this city 3 weeks ago. By the way, this comes from user Rich Possession 5054 on the r/Dusty Thunder subreddit. And if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OK Storytime subreddit. Because the bride is in my grad program, a bunch of people from our school were also planning on driving down for the wedding. And because of a little drama between one couple, another woman, E, ended up riding with me.
It's Ellie.
Let's call her Ellie. This made sense anyway because even though she and Marty don't know each other well, she's going to stay with me at Marty's place. The plan is to drive down on Friday, maybe hit up a museum Saturday morning, go to the wedding Saturday afternoon and evening, and attend the after party that night. Leave on Sunday after maybe another museum and or some shopping. Things I didn't account for. Marty, who has lived in the US for 6 or 7 years, assuming that this wedding would end early like the one we attended last summer, and planning on doing a bunch of non-wedding related things. Side note, while Marty does know the bride, he was not invited to the wedding and was attending as my +1. Also, just to get ahead of any potential theories, he is attracted to the same gender. Me becoming ridiculously irritable. I don't even know how this started. I think it started after the ceremony. We had about 3 hours between the end of the ceremony and the start of the cocktail hour.
Ooh.
Marty, Ellie, and I decided to grab lunch. I suggested we eat somewhere nice, like a steakhouse, so not expensive, since we were all dressed up. I looked up nearby restaurants, picked one, and asked them to look at the menu on their phones and see if there was anything they would eat. Marty looked it up and said, "We don't have to eat American food." Again, Marty is Indian. Ellie immigrated from Nigeria 2 years ago, and I am the child of Nigerian immigrants but was born and raised here. Marty had already made a few jokes, poking at me being American because he knows it irritates me and he thinks he's being funny. I told them that they could also look up restaurants, and Marty proceeded to recommend a restaurant that was closed, then one that was closing in 20 minutes, and one whose bar was open but whose kitchen didn't open for 2 hours. I think this is where I started getting annoyed. I opted to get everyone in the car and go get gas while we figured it out. During the drive, Marty looked up and suggested more restaurants, all of which served American food. At this point, I was getting mad. After fueling the car and taking several deep breaths, I asked Marty and Ellie what the plan was. We ended up going to a calzone place that was fast food adjacent and cost the same amount as most food at a steakhouse. The second we walked into the calzone place, a cashier commented on how dressed up we were. I ordered and immediately went to the bathroom to try and calm down. I was mostly silent as we ate, while Ellie and Marty spoke to each other until Ellie asked me if I had ever tried pounded yam, a ridiculously common food in Nigeria that I have grown up eating because, newsflash, I'm Nigerian. Me, ridiculously offended. I tried to listen to music on the drive to the reception venue and asked for some space, letting them know I was agitated. Once we reached the cocktail hour, I immediately distanced myself from them, once again to try and calm down. I literally had to tell them to stop following me. There were at least 10 other people there that they knew and could talk to, and I needed space after being trapped in a car with them since neither of them have cars. Did my best. Fast forward to the end of the reception. Marty wanted to go home. I was planning on walking the 1 block to the after party. This request agitated me, so I went to change my shoes, take more deep breaths, and ask God for strength. I came back and told Marty I could drop him off at home, which is a 3-minute drive, but then he wanted me to take him home and to go with him upstairs so he could unlock his door and give me the key. Never mind that the building is passcode protected. What's going on here? Why can't we just not be difficult for 1 second?
This is frustrating.
He and Ellie turned this into a whole discussion for some reason, and I went to the bathroom to run cold water over my hands, and you'll never guess, take a deep breath, because I was over it at this
OP
point.
is sick of this.
Tired. I just wanted to do what I came here to do. Celebrate my friends getting married. I came back out and asked what the plan was. Marty said he would just go with us to the after party that was at a bar a block away. I made it abundantly clear that once I got to the bar, I was not leaving until I was ready to leave. They said, fine, great. We walked over there and Ellie says she doesn't have her ID. So we walked back to the car and drove back to Marty's place. I'm on the verge of tears at this point because I'm so freaking irritated. Like, why am I here? Why are these people my responsibility? They are adults. Uber exists. This is my car, my time, my gas money, and yet I feel obligated to drive them. I cannot hide my anger anymore, but I am still silent. I park back at the venue a block away from the bar, and Marty asks if we can park a little closer to the bar. I ask him if I look like an effing taxi service and stalk the 1 block to the bar ahead of them. As soon as I get in, I ordered a shot and a drink. I do another shot with a friend. 20 minutes later, midnight rolls around, and Marty and Ellie start asking when we're leaving. I shrug and tell them I'm still wasted. 30 minutes later, they find me and tell me they're calling an Uber, which I guess they've magically remembered exists. I'm still tipsy, but actually ready to go home, so I offer to let Marty drive. Here's the thing. Marty recently renewed his license after not driving at all for the last several years. He rented a car to help with packing 3 weeks ago, and I had heard from our friends that he was a disaster on the road. He thinks he's a good driver, and I made it abundantly clear that he was not allowed to drive my car this weekend. But at this point, it was 12:30 in the morning, there weren't likely to be any cars on the road, and it was a 3-minute drive, a half a mile. Pulling out of the parking lot, I had to tell him there was a car coming from the left twice before he stopped. He then immediately blew past a stop sign and then blew past another one 90 seconds later. Truly a sobering experience. By the time he got to his apartment, all of 3 minutes later, I was on edge and had decided that I would be parallel parking the car rather than waiting to see what would happen. I told him to put the car in park. We both got out and I got behind the wheel. He stood next to the car.
So
I
worried.
rolled down the window and tell him gently, hey, you either need to get in the car or cross the street. He says, why? I'm watching you park. I say, I'm going to pull out and repark. You need to get in or cross the street. No, I don't. You. He says, I can take care of myself. Me raising my voice, Marty, you need to move so I can park the car without you. He was literally less than 2 feet from the car, standing on the left side in the road. He got mad and said he was going inside.
Perfect.
Great. I lost it and was ranting to poor Ellie, who was sitting in the back, tired. I'm angry and I'm debating sleeping in a hotel tonight. Reddit, am I the a-hole for deliberately getting too wasted to drive so that I could just do what I came here to do? Is it my responsibility to chauffeur these grown adults around just because I have a car and I'm staying with one of them? Where do I get to draw the line and just enjoy the wedding that I came here for? There's an edit. I see a lot of comments saying I didn't speak up for myself or communicate. In trying to be concise and relay the parts of the story that bothered me most, I realized that, yeah, I skimmed over places where I did communicate.
Okay.
Marty and I have spoken numerous times about his tendency to try and get under my skin, even during the drive to the wedding and on the dance floor at the wedding. I've made it clear that I don't appreciate it. He thinks he's being endearing. Ellie and I have spoken numerous times as well about how I feel about being perceived as quote-unquote less Nigerian for my American upbringing. We also had an extensive conversation about Nigerian food and my preference to make it at home rather than buy it as I drove her to a Nigerian restaurant. Less than 24 hours later, she's acting as if she didn't know that I eat Nigerian food. I communicated frequently. On the drive to the wedding, Marty tried to start teasing, and I immediately cut him off, letting both of them know that I was incredibly agitated because we were running late and I needed some grace and space for the first 10 minutes of the drive, because I didn't want to snap at them. I glossed over the restaurant decision as well. After getting gas, I parked the car and gave them the option of the restaurant I had already suggested and one that Marty had suggested. I went with the majority vote out of consideration. They voted for the calzone place. It had food that I would eat, so I went with it because eating somewhere nice was not a hill I needed to die on. After lunch, I again communicated that I was agitated and needed space. I drove to Costco and told them that we would split up inside so that I could be alone for a bit because, again, I didn't want to snap at anyone. They stayed in the car and I went inside to let Costco do its magic. When we got to the reception, I communicated a need for space and encouraged them to talk to our other friends. Regarding the wedding and after party, I told Marty the night before that I planned on staying for the whole thing. He still kept saying things like, well, if we don't stay the whole time, we could, to which I would reply, I plan on staying the whole time, Marty. When Marty wanted to go home before the after party, I evaluated the situation and ultimately decided that while it wasn't my preference, driving him home quickly would not be the end of the world.
OP, stop doubling back on your word.
I spoke to Marty and clearly stated that I could take him home right then or else he'd be stuck at the bar until I was ready to leave. I also clearly stated that he could Uber or walk the 10 minutes back to his apartment. When he opted to go to the after party, I restated that once I got to the bar, I would not be leaving until I was ready to go. So yes, I communicated with my friends frequently. And by the way, you can listen frequently to full episodes with stories just like this on Spotify and iHeartRadio and Apple Podcasts and wherever you listen to podcasts. Just search OK Storytime.
Search it.
A little bit left here. People know what you want and then do that and don't do the opposite of it. Some people here don't seem to appreciate the power of taking deep breaths before interacting with other people. I never want to lead with anger because I know what it's like to be on the receiving end. So yes, often my initial response is to remove myself from a situation and take deep breaths while evaluating the situation and how I want to move forward. I ask myself what the problem is, what end result I want, and whether it's worth fighting for or about. I also try to assess if it's a me issue, like being hangry, irritable, or triggered, or a them issue, like them deliberately getting under my skin or being inconsiderate. And yeah, I'm a grown but adult who is entitled about how I interact with other people and tries to communicate respectfully. And there's a tiny small update. Apparently, I was PMSing. I still take accountability for my choices and actions, but I think I know why I was so irritable now.
That is so real.
And that is the end of that story.
I'm like, why am I so sad right now? I refuse to trust my mother-in-law with my baby since she won't respect my rules.
You have to earn that trust, Missy.
I, 28 female, and my husband, 35 male, have been married for 7 years and now have a 9-month-old son. Before pregnancy, I thought I had a fantastic relationship with my mother-in-law. We got on like a house on fire. And I guess, you know, in terms of that saying, that relationship is not going to last very long. And even the other laws would joke that I was the favorite out of all the partners. She always made me feel welcome, unlike how she treated one of the other sons-in-law. But when I got pregnant, everything shifted. By the way, this comes from MoneyScreen7022, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OKStorytime subreddit. I'm Sophia.
And I'm Angie.
And OP says, my family were ecstatic when I told them. The next day, we told his family, and his mom's reaction was flat. Not even a hug, which was completely out of character. I could tell that it hurt my husband too after seeing the big deal my family made. As my pregnancy progressed, I had a severe sickness. I couldn't keep food down, was sick all day and night, and mentally, it was brutal. Friends and family kept checking in, but from my mother-in-law, nothing. She knew I was unwell, but didn't ask once how I was doing. When I sent scans and updates, she either ignored them or brushed them off with something about what she was doing. After 3 months of silence, I told my husband I felt disappointed, and he got very defensive, like I was attacking her. The next day, suddenly we had an invite to lunch, which I strongly suspect wasn't a coincidence. At the lunch, instead of reconnecting like I hoped, she criticized me the entire time. She mocked me for following pregnancy health guidelines when she saw I wasn't eating runny egg, rolled her eyes about us asking people to be vaccinated for whooping cough, and made comments like, pregnant people these days are scared to break a nail and kids need germs. Kids need you out of their lives.
Yeah.
I bit my tongue, not wanting to make a scene, but left feeling judged and uncomfortable. When we made our birth plan, my husband and I agreed on boundaries. We'd tell families when I was in labor, but didn't want to spend labor glued to our phones. I wanted my mom as my support person, and once baby was born, there'd be no kissing, hand washing before holding him. My family accepted this without question. His mom gave a reluctant, fine, we'll play by your rules. Labor itself was traumatic. Our son nearly passed away, and I ended up with an emergency C-section. During this, my mother-in-law was calling my husband for updates despite us asking for this not to happen. This is also her 8th grandchild. Straight after birth, my mom came to the hospital briefly at the nurse's suggestion to drop off colostrum from my freezer while I was being rolled back from the OR. My mother-in-law called my husband, and when he couldn't answer, she called my mom. She wasn't happy to hear my mom would give updates once she got to the hospital. 2 days later, when my husband had to go home for supplies, I asked my sister to come help me shower and get to the bathroom since I still couldn't walk properly. Meanwhile, my mother-in-law kept pushing to visit, saying, "It wasn't fair that my mom and sister had been there." My partner joined in on the, "It's not fair," and I felt very deflated, like I was the problem. When we finally went home, his parents were waiting at our house, empty-handed. I was barely able to walk, and instead of a peaceful first moment at home, my baby was pulled out of my arms while I had to serve them coffee. Genuinely? Like, just based off of, like, probably her emotions.
Yeah.
If I were in this situation having just given birth,
Yeah.
I'd be like, get out of my house.
Yeah, it's like if I
I'd be
didn't
so moody.
for sure, if I didn't just have a major surgery, which is what this is,
Yeah.
I would, I mean, sure, I would be like, taking care of my guests and stuff, but
I'm not making you coffee. Make your own coffee. I just had a baby.
don't take my baby away from me.
Baby in
Ask.
my arms. You go make coffee.
Yeah, bring me coffee, girl.
My mother-in-law didn't wash her hands.
Ugh.
Despite our very clear boundary, she kissed my newborn. No.
Mm-mm.
I'm sorry. Second I see that, boink.
Yeah, just like it's very easy to take him right back.
Yeah. When I reminded her not to, she gave me judgmental looks. He ended up crying, and I took him to the nursery to feed him, and they left. I told my husband it wasn't fair that I had to enforce rules we had both agreed on, and he promised he'd handle it. But on their next visit, his mom kissed him again. When I pulled him away, she said, "Oh, but I just have to." Tried again. And when I stopped her, she snapped, "Fine," and sulked in my living room, ignoring me the rest of the visit. Since then, this has been the pattern. She dismisses our boundaries, makes digs about me being overprotective, and focuses only on the baby while ignoring me. I walk through the door and am greeted with, "Give me him." She never asks how I am. After nearly a year of this, I've pulled back. I keep her at arm's length and only see her when necessary. Now my son is about to start daycare, and my mother-in-law has asked her daughter to message me to let me know that she wants to pick him up and babysit when I return to work instead of him going to daycare. Honestly, the idea makes me feel sick. I don't trust her to respect our rules or follow basic safety measures when I'm not there. I'd happily leave him with my parents because they respect me, checked in on me, and respected our boundaries. They never push. But I do not feel comfortable leaving him alone with her. I see my family weekly. My mom has watched him already, and because I have pulled back, his family sees our son maybe once a month. The problem is my husband. He's wonderful in every other way, but he struggles to set boundaries with his mom. Even if I sugarcoat and very politely let him know if something has upset me, I get met with, "My family can't do anything right. I feel like you hate my parents." Yes. "And you're ruining all their visits by telling me all the things they've done wrong." I feel I can only keep finding excuses for so long around why she can't have alone time with him. But if I refuse and actually tell him the real reason why, I'll need to tell him the whole truth. I know I'll be saying things that will really hurt his feelings. He'll see it as me treating his parents unfairly, and it could genuinely be the start of the end of us.
Wow.
As I truly believe he values his relationship with his mom more than me. So am I wrong for not wanting to leave my son alone with my partner's parents when I'd happily leave him with mine? And there is an update, but what do you think?
I think no.
No. Because it's not about, your parents versus his parents.
Right.
It's about people who respect boundaries and people who don't.
Right, and that should be so obvious, and it's so unfortunate that your husband is not understanding that. Especially
Doesn't
since
get
you
it.
just had a baby. Like
You just had a baby.
whenever I have a kid, I'm literally gonna be like, everyone needs to freaking worship me.
You
I
need to wait on me hand and foot.
Yeah.
I am not lifting a finger for at least 2 weeks.
At least.
At least.
At least.
I want massages. I want hot chocolate.
Yep.
I want grapes. I want someone to fan me.
Yep. I want it all.
Oh.
Okay. I'm sorry. Did you just make a heart with your body?
Did you just develop little limbs?
I don't think so.
Mm-mm.
I did.
Then I don't want to hear about it.
Exactly.
For a long time, I honestly thought I might be the problem. During pregnancy and postpartum, I kept telling myself, maybe I'm just hormonal. Maybe I'm being overprotective. I didn't have the energy to properly think about it, so I let things slide. Whenever I did see her, she'd slip in what I call little digs. Always with a smile, never in front of my husband, or if they were super subtle. For example, if someone brings up my labor, she jumps in with comments like, my friend X had a C-section. She definitely handled it all much better than you have. But gosh, we got such a beautiful boy out of it. Then she moves straight on in the conversation. These comments happen almost every time she speaks to me, and over time, they really build up. That's part of the reason why it's so hard to explain to my partner. If I explain just one instance, he would easily say, I'm sure that's not what he meant. I'm sure that's not what you meant. My mother-in-law seemed lovely when you first meet her, very over the top, but once you get to know her, you start to see how disingenuous it really is. This has been the only real issue we've had in our 10 years together. It's like the situation with his mom is his kryptonite. In the latest visit, he did finally notice the subtle comments. When we got in the car after that visit, he brought it up first, saying it was weird and odd. I took that opportunity to explain that this is what it's always like for me. That time, it felt like he actually heard me. I think that was the moment he realized I wasn't just making a fuss. And there is another update. While awaiting responses, my husband brought up that his mother wants to have our son once a week. No. I voiced my honest thoughts. My concern is that for anyone to watch my son, there are things I would want to check where he would sleep for naps, whether that's safe, if she wants him in the car, what car seat she's using. I know she has a front-facing ones, but no rear-facing. What food she would give him. She's already been critical of me asking for them not to give him peanuts until I have introduced them myself to check for allergies. My concern is that I don't believe my husband has the ability to check all these things with his mom and actually call her out if she does something we don't approve of. I told him I absolutely will, but I don't think my relationship with her will last if I talk to her the way I would need to while she's watching him. With my family, I know I can be honest. They'll respect it. And if something goes wrong, I know our relationship will survive calling them out. On the flip side, with daycare, I've already examined everything, where he will sleep, what he will eat, who will be looking after him. I also have no issue advocating for him there. His response was interesting. He said he agrees with me, and he doesn't think past him would have said anything, which felt like a win because it showed me he became aware that he wasn't advocating when he should have been. When I asked him what has changed, he said he started to notice things about his mom that he's never noticed before. He says he now doesn't really care if calling her out on bad behavior hurts her feelings because he realized that everything seems to hurt her feelings. By the way, it would hurt my feelings if you didn't listen to full episodes of stories just like this. Just go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or iHeartRadio and search up OK Storytime.
Don't hurt her feelings, guys.
Don't hurt them. But there's a little bit left. Any final thoughts?
I'm glad that he's realizing
Me
the ways of
too.
his mother. I'm very, very glad. I think that's, obviously all of these concerns have been very valid of OP to think, and it's a lot that this mom is asking, especially so early on. Like it's probably helpful for people to babysit, especially that often, but sometimes I feel like, especially, and I mean obviously in this situation, early on is like not the best. So
No.
maybe she can when the baby's a little older.
When you don't have
But-
to worry about her kissing the baby or
Yeah.
not washing her hands.
Exactly.
While this was a big step, my concern is he doesn't actually see the issue with her watching him. He's just saying he thinks he'll be able to call her out if something goes wrong. But he's promised to call her out before and hasn't followed through. I want to believe him, but I'll only know once I see it. I still don't want her alone with my child. She has already told me things about what she does when she watches her other grandkids, like sharing beds with them and wanting to rub their backs to sleep as her way of bonding with them. I just don't feel comfortable with all that. Now, I have a bit more confidence that I'm not crazy and reading into things. I feel like I'll be more confident advocating for myself when the time comes. And that is the end of that story, folks.
All right.
I refuse to let my nephew live with me. Now my family is furious.
Tell him to get his own place.
I, female 39, am very much not a kid person. I can tolerate them in small doses, but I also find them uninteresting, annoying, and don't want any of my own. I am well aware that some find my child unfriendliness off-putting and can strategically fake it until I make it most of the time. I just prefer to avoid situations and relationships where I'm expected to interact with kids, but when I can't, I radiate "don't talk to me" energy to deter them, and will try to pawn them off or redirect them and escape.
You just have an RBF and people have problems with it.
By the way, this comes from favorite nephew 11, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OKStorytime subreddit. And OP says, I had the good fortune to be the baby of the family during my generation, but as my siblings and cousins started having kids, they resented me for being an irresponsible man-aunt, as one cousin put it. They kept pushing me to be involved with their kids, and I eventually snapped and told them how I felt about kids in general. Afterwards, I was slowly iced out socially. I stopped trying when I was hospitalized and only one person even bothered to visit or even call. The one exception was my brother Michael, male 43. He never questioned or undermined my decision. He was that one sole visitor when I was hospitalized. He never tried to force his son, Adam, male 18, upon me, nor did he resent that I didn't take a serious interest in Adam until he was 14. Even when he was in the trenches in regard to parenting, he still made time to call or text, if sporadically. In the present, Adam is the only niece or nephew that I care about. Yes, his cousins did not receive a fair opportunity to bond with me. Yes, I'm playing favorites. I've set up a $10K college fund. I take him out for experiences monthly, and I've given him some pricey gifts, while his cousins get zilch.
Okay.
Yes,
Wow.
this has caused friction in the past, but I've always been happy to be the bad guy. I try to be discreet. Adam has been instructed to attribute the gifts to his father and not me, and I did not tell him about the college fund until a month ago. My latest gift, however, has led to a major fallout.
Oh boy. Look,
I have mixed feelings about
I
this.
do too. I understand that you're not a kid person.
I think you're very much not allowed to not be a kid person, and that no one should force you to take care of the kids or watch the kids or all that. But I feel like there is a certain amount of just respectfulness that when you're at family events, you can be nice to the kids. You don't have to play with them.
I've seen family members have favorites, but they
Yeah.
still gave everyone the
You
same
still
amount.
I don't know, this just I feel like if you have kids, they're a really important part of your life and
Yeah.
their family. And as long as they're not saying hey, you need to watch our kids, babysit them, blah, 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 then I kind of understand why they've grown distant, because you
Yeah.
can't really, it's really hard to have a relationship with someone while also having kids that they don't, want to have a relationship with. I live in a desirable location in a major city, and Michael and Adam live nearby. Adam was recently accepted to his dream school in said city, but it's out of his budget. I offered to let him live rent-free with me, which would allow him to commute. My house is much closer to campus, and thus much more affordable. The issue is my other nephew, Alex, was also accepted into that school, and it's also his dream school. Alex comes from a disadvantaged background, while Adam is middle class. Alex won a partial scholarship to said school, but it's still not enough. When he heard about my offer to Adam, he asked, using Adam as an intermediary, to be included. I refused. I have nothing against Alex, but I also haven't talked to him for 15 years. Not that we were ever close, and we simply don't have an emotional connection. It would also come at a massive opportunity cost. I rent out my spare bedrooms, and I'd lose $38K in rental income. Yes, this is well below market rate over 4 years. Most of my relatives are now in arms. They have given the ultimatum that either I extend my offer to Alex as well, I rescind my offer, or Adam rejects my offer, or they will go no contact with Adam and Michael.
Oh my gosh.
They're calling Adam the golden child. He's an only child, saying that Alex deserves my help far more and are tired of my favoritism. They're not wrong about my favoritism, but honestly, I don't give an F about my ex-family.
Okay.
Though I never blocked them or had a big fallout, we've been effectively no contact. I value chosen family over people who happen to share my DNA, and we both made choices that demoted them to the latter category. I'm also of the opinion that aunts and uncles are entitled to have preferences. Furthermore, I don't see what makes Alex more deserving. He certainly needs the help more, but that's not my tab to pay. Adam is in a more complicated situation. Michael is willing to support whatever Adam chooses and refuses to pressure him. Adam and Alex aren't close, but accepting my offer would mean giving up many other familial bonds that Adam does value. Rejecting it means Adam giving up his dream school. I do feel bad that my offer is forcing Adam to choose.
Okay.
And there is an edit, which I'm going to read. I can't believe that I have to say this explicitly, but I don't hate kids. They're just not my cup of tea. You cannot like something and not want to throw it into a trash compactor. There is an update. I don't
What?
fully believe that you don't.
I think you had a bad
you do kind
experience.
of.
You
Yeah.
do.
I think you do kind of hate kids.
So it's not that you don't like kids. I feel like you found an attachment to
Mhm.
someone you see as your predecessor, because
Yeah.
I am believing you're probably not going to ever have kids.
Yeah.
So you're like, I'm just going to give them everything. I do not like what OP is doing here.
I think it's a little bit of an
Whatsoever.
everyone sucks situation, but OP's
Well-
in her right.
She has the power to do that. That is nothing I would do with my family. I
I
wouldn't
agree.
pick a favorite. I wouldn't do that. OP, you're the a-hole, and you have to stand by it, because if you don't stand by it,
Yeah.
what even are you? Pick a lane.
You've got to stick with your decision.
Yeah.
But there's an update, folks. I saw a few questions in my last post that I wanted to address. Why not try to form a bond with Alex now? He comes across as a gold digger and disingenuous, seeing as he was perfectly happy being distant from me without something to gain. Why distance yourself from Alex's parents' sins? I didn't. I just don't have a reason to try to form a bond with him. Just like I don't have a reason to connect with a cashier at my local grocery store.
Oh, my, no way you just compared
Dude.
family to that.
Dude, the crazy thing is that she grew distant from her family because she wasn't willing to have any relationships with the kid.
And now it seems like it's their fault. You're the a-hole.
You're the a-hole for that. Like, again, you absolutely should not have to bring Alex in because you don't have any relationship with him. But, like, it's completely your fault that you don't have a relationship with him.
This is wild.
Many people that didn't meet by circumstance meet because of social lubricant that brought them together. Aunt and nephew ties are facilitated by said aunt's ties to the child's parents and wider family. And said ties do not exist in this case. A relationship with Alex might also be a liability if our relatives try to weaponize it in some way. And given that they already tried with Adam, I'll pass. Why didn't you put your bio family on an information diet? I did. Unfortunately, I suspect that Adam slipped up during his excitement at being given the chance to attend his dream school after thinking that he couldn't. I've always stressed the importance of secrecy, but up to this point, he's never experienced conditional love, and in his naiveness, believed the best from his relatives. It's a lesson that I wish he'd learn in a different manner, but what's done is done. I did see the suggestion about claiming that I have a long-term lease on my other rooms, and that probably wouldn't work. My relatives would probably demand that I try to break the lease, taking on the penalties, or that Alex and Adam share a room.
Yeah, which if I were you, I would do that.
That's what I probably would have done. I'd have been like, yeah, Alex and Aaron, because clearly Alex and Adam are like friendly.
Yeah.
So they probably would be chill sharing a room.
Here we go. Hey guys, you can share a room and you're gonna mow the yard and cook me
Yeah,
a
put them to
dinner
work,
here and
man.
there.
Could you compromise? Is there a win-win solution for both Adam and Alex? Maybe let them share a room. Perhaps, but you never negotiate with bullies. It sends the wrong message.
You're the bully. You're literally the bully because you have not even extended your hand to maybe even meet Alex. I don't even think you even know who Alex
Do
is.
you know who? I mean,
like,
she
oh,
said he was like a stranger.
Oh, Alex is a nephew of mine that has a problem with me. I guess it's a problem now.
Dude, I just disagree with how you've like the beginning of the story.
I can't.
You don't have to do anything you don't want to do right now. If you do not want Alex to move in, don't let him move in. It's your
Yeah.
choice. However, I disagree with everything that you did at the beginning of the story. Also, it would be incredibly awkward and tense between Alex and I. Never mind Alex and Adam, who would be living in the same room. Why not just rent out the room and send Adam the proceeds so he can get a room elsewhere? My rates are well below market value, and it would not cover the cost of a room elsewhere in the area for Adam. I could raise the price to market value, but then I'd have to explain to said potential tenants why they're being charged so much more than the tenant that I already have. I also don't want to raise my rates on principle. I don't like that landlords and private equity are intentionally squeezing the housing market. The only reason why I'm renting out my rooms is because they'd be sitting empty otherwise, and offering them cheaply was a compromise between pragmatism and my values. I actually would have preferred a smaller place, but there weren't any smaller houses that ticked off my non-negotiable requirements. You've no right to feel hurt over being abandoned in the hospital. You push them away, says someone else. As acknowledged in my post, everyone made decisions that contributed to me going no contact. I was disinterested in the center of their world, and they couldn't accept me as who I was.
It sounds like
Every time she went and saw those kids, she was like, she literally said she'd like scare them off.
you want to talk to them. She
You
give the
said you
RBF.
scare. I'm like, you don't have to play with them. It's totally valid for people not to want to have kids or not be kid people. But to be like, yeah, I intentionally scared away my little nephews and nieces and nibblings.
Yeah, in a way, she's like being the victim here.
A little bit,
Belton.
yeah.
Aw, boo-hoo, my house is too big.
And while I certainly self-selected out of kid-centric events, I repeatedly tried to reach out to arrange kid-free hangouts. Heck, I would have been okay with occasional texts and phone calls. That was literally the only way Michael and I stayed in touch until Adam was 7. And the hospital incident didn't hurt me so much as it was the final nail that ended any hope of reconciliation. I was well aware that our relationship was fraying well before the incident. As for the actual updates, Michael, his wife, and I were gearing up to have a talk with Adam to discuss his options, go over the pros and cons and long-term effects, reaffirm our support, and nudge him in the right direction. It turns out we didn't need to, though not for the reason that we'd like. Adam called me yesterday, clearly upset. Apparently his cousins have been talking smack behind his back, saying some really nasty and cruel things and targeting some of his deepest insecurities. Even if he wanted to make peace with Alex, it wouldn't be possible now. I still think that it would be beneficial to have the talk with him, though, if only to help process his feelings.
If only to help.
And I would love you guys to process that you can listen to full episodes of stories just like this. All you got to do is go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or iHeartRadio and search up OK Storytime. There is a little bit left to this story. Do you have any final thoughts?
I'm glad you're not my aunt.
Yeah. Yeah.
Even if I
know.
was Adam, I'm still glad you're not my aunt.
I like at the end of the day, I do think, to go back to a comment that you made earlier of like, shouldn't have preferences, blah, blah, blah. I think preferences are kind of natural, especially, you know, if you live closer to a certain, you know, niece or nephew. Just happens that you're going to be like, I have family members that I'm closer with. I have aunts that I'm closer with. But I think bringing it to this level is pretty harsh.
You're like, it's one thing to give $10,000 expensive, pricey gifts to one part of the family and completely ignoring the opportunity you can give this kid. And you're like, nah, I just don't like it.
But on the other hand, I also understand your point of being like, I have no relationship with these people. They have never showed up for anything, you know, and maybe that was because of what OP did. And, you know, but like at the end of the day, you don't have a relationship with these people and they're only showing up now because they need something. So I get it. I think it's an everyone sucks situation.
Everyone does suck. What else does OP have to say? I'm done with this person.
It isn't all doom and gloom, though. A friend of a friend is apparently an interviewer for a job that one of the nasty cousins has applied for, and asked about a week ago if I knew them. We look similar and have an unusual family name, and had any tea. No, I was not listed as a reference. I didn't know the cousin well enough to comment back then, but now?
Oh, no.
Guess who's going to get a call and a warning not to hire that cousin due to bad character? Did I also mention that said job was in a small industry with typically only one employer per area? Yes, I'm a petty queen and I own it.
All right, you're the a-hole.